And you may begin.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. I want to welcome you to the public hearing for the Higher Education Subcommittee in Appropriations. This is one of our favorite nights of the public hearing because this is when we get to hear from the students of Connecticut who are going to our higher education institutions here. And it gives us an opportunity to hear a little bit about them, to hear what they're doing, and to get to see who are the students that we talk about in large numbers, but also the ones that are going to be here in our place in a few years from now. So it is my pleasure to introduce the first panel. Before I do that, I'll ask my co-chair if she has anything to say.
Good evening, everybody. It's another public hearing night. I'm very happy to be here. I look forward to hearing what everybody has to say, and let's just get this started.
Yes, thank you. So tonight for the first panel, we have the independent colleges, and I'm going to give you, try your first names. I'm not trying all your last names because they're a little difficult, but I think you have your number of sequence already. Everybody has been given a number. So I'm going to ask Danielle, Erica, Eliel. Could you pronounce your first name for me, Eliel?
Yes, it's Eliel.
Eliel, okay, Eliel, and Jaden. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to speak with you tonight. Okay, so we're going to start with Danielle, and then after Danielle finishes, then Erica, you go, and then go right after that. Okay, thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Danielle Demers. I am from Watertown, Connecticut. I'm a sophomore this year at the University of New Haven, and I am majoring in forensic science with a concentration in biology. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today about the importance of financial aid and scholarship funding. I have been fortunate enough to receive the Roberta Willis Scholarship Grant, which has had a direct impact on my life and has helped provide important assistance to help further my education. Thank you for all that you are doing to help students like myself achieve our dreams by being able to afford the cost of higher education. When I first began my college search, while focused on my intended major in forensic science, it was very important for me to find a university that I felt welcome to and a sense of community from. After visiting the University of New Haven, I felt drawn back to the university time after time. The University of New Haven was the right fit for me, not only because of the university's excellent reputation regarding its forensic science program, but because of the welcoming feeling I received repeatedly when I visited. I quickly envisioned myself as a member of the UNH community. In addition, what really drew me in was the university's ability to provide students with internships and research opportunities, which allows me to get the most out of my education. These types of hands-on learning experiences will allow me to explore my major to its fullest potential, gaining valuable field experience and opportunities, which will allow me to incorporate these added skills into my future career. Financial aid, such as the Roberta Willis Scholarship Grant, has been incredibly important to me because it has helped me be able to pursue my career goal as a forensic scientist. With the rising cost of higher education, my receiving of the Roberta Willis Scholarship Grant has provided me with much needed financial assistance. Especially during COVID-19, this financial assistance has been even more helpful for myself and my family, as my family's income was affected by the pandemic. Therefore, assisting both my twin sister and I while we are attending college at the same time has been difficult. The Roberta Willis Scholarship Grant has helped me to remain a full-time student, pursuing a career goal that I'm extremely passionate about and at a university that I feel supported by. I am fully involved within my campus community, where I'm the president of the Honor Student Council this year and a mentor of the Take Charge Leadership Program, where I help other students interested in learning more about becoming a leader. I'm also proud to work on campus within the Accessibility Resource Center, where I take notes for students with disabilities. I have also volunteered in the local community where I have helped make a positive impact as well. I'm grateful that this scholarship has provided the support that has allowed me to continue my goal of higher education and also give back to help others. When I graduate, I intend to utilize my education and leadership experiences that I've learned and make a positive impact in the field of forensic science. My career goal upon earning my undergraduate degree is to work as a veterinary forensic scientist and spread awareness about the prevention of animal cruelty. Please continue to fund valuable funding sources such as the Roberta Willis Scholarship Program to ensure that students like myself have the opportunity to attend higher education in Connecticut. Thank you again for all that you do in helping to support these extremely valuable funding initiatives that allow students like me to achieve our dreams. Thank you.
Excellent. Erica?
Hello, my name is Erica Peterson, and I am originally from East Lyme, Connecticut, but I'm currently living in Windsor. Right now, I'm a senior at the University of Hartford. I'm graduating in December of 2022, and I'm pursuing a dual degree of electrical engineering and audio engineering technology with a minor in mathematics. I wanted to study at the University of Hartford because when I was in my college search, I was primarily looking for universities with strong audio programs. That wasn't really a music degree, and that's exactly what the University of Hartford provided. It allows me to study the art of audio with a focus on the technology and the circuitry. My experience here has been really eye-opening, and I've been so lucky to have been taught by a lot of my faculty members, and they've helped me deciding the correct academic path, as well as resources to aid me. Financial aid such as the Roberta Willis Scholarship Grant has been super important to me because it allows me to pursue my dual degree without the fear of cost. It's necessary for me to take summer and winter classes to graduate within 4.5 years, and this wouldn't have been financially available to me without the aid given. After graduation, I intend to start my career as an engineer. I ideally would like to work in a research and development team where I would be working with a team in manufacturing audio devices, audio technology, anything like that. I also have an interest of working as an RF engineer, and I want to be able to combine my 2 degrees into my future profession. Please continue to fund the Roberta Willis Scholarship Program to ensure that students like myself have the opportunity to enroll in institutions that's the best fit for them. Thank you for this opportunity, and I hope you consider this.
Excellent. Thank you. Sir? Elio? There you go.
My name is Elio Duquesne. I'm from Stamford, Connecticut. I am a nutrition and wellness program at the University of St. Joseph's in West Hartford. I'm an active member within the USJ community as a lacrosse team member, president of the Nutrition Club, director of the public relations for the Student Athletic Advisory Committee, and a member of the Common Ground Leadership Council. When I graduate next year, I intend to become a sports nutritionist and hopefully a sports administrator in the future. I participated in an after-school program called Future 5 during my years at Stanford High School. So the University of St. Joseph was the right college choice because USJ's mission and core values aligned with what's important to me. I wanted a college experience to build close relationships with other students and professors. One of the reasons why I chose USJ was because of their shared passion for service and emphasizing the importance of community engagement through vast programs and opportunities. USJ also allowed me to pursue my education while continuing my athletic career, which also is very important to me. There are 5 people in my family, 3 kids, 2 of us are currently in college, and my twin brother, Eli. We are both proud first-generation college students. The Robert B. Willis Scholarship Program is essential to me because it gives me a sense of financial relief. The scholarship benefited me greatly by reducing the financial burden on my family and me. In my situation, every dollar counts. So the scholarship program helped me attend USJ. I appreciate the financial support and the opportunities to continue to pursue my academic and athletic career in USJ. Thank you for those who are supporting the program over the years. Please continue to fund the Roberta Willis Scholarship Program to allow students like me to pursue our dreams. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your testimony. Next, number 5, Jaden.
Hello, my name is Jaden Gillette, and I am from Putnam, Connecticut. I am a senior at Albertus Magnus College, majoring in criminal justice with a minor in management. I am the second person in my family to attend college, following the footsteps of my mom, who also went to college and knows the expense of a college tuition. After attending Albertus Magnus for the past 4 years, the Roberta Willis Scholarship has been very beneficial to not just myself, but my academics. This scholarship has helped in so many ways. I come from a modest income family and work 3 jobs to help pay for college. If it wasn't for the Roberta Willis Scholarship, I would have had to take out quite a few loans to help cover my college expenses. The Roberta Willis Scholarship has increased my ability to stay in school and graduate on time. This scholarship has provided an opportunity for me to earn my degree without having any financial struggles. As a recipient, I have more time to focus on studying and learning, which leads me to have better grades and retention of knowledge. If it wasn't for this scholarship, I would have been financially stressed and would not have been able to focus on my degree. Albertus Magnus has instilled in me a greater sense of belonging and motivation. Being able to attend Albertus has given me the opportunity to continue my athletic career, but also become close with my professors who have pushed me to be my best. Being a criminal justice major, I have been able to work with my professors who have worked in law enforcement, teaching me what I need to know for my future career. After graduation, I plan on going to the police academy to become a police officer, following the footsteps of my parents who have also worked in law enforcement. After completing the police academy, I plan on returning to school to complete my master's degree. Please increase funding for need-based funding in the Roberta Willis Scholarship Program to ensure that students like myself have the opportunity to enroll in the Connecticut institution that is best fit for them.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all for your fine speeches, and congratulations for the Roberta Willis Scholarship. And I look forward to hearing what you do as soon as you finish graduation. Maybe come to the Capitol and work. Have a good afternoon. Thank you. Okay, for the second panel. The second panel is from UConn. Mason, Kenise, Caitlin, and Sabrina. Good afternoon. Let's see, do I have everybody? I see Kenise, I see Mason. I see, let's see. Do I see Caitlin? I think I saw Caitlin. Did I see Caitlin? Huh. Madam Administrator, we're missing Caitlin and Sabrina. Sabrina, there's Sabrina.
There, okay, good.
And Caitlin is Taylor. Is Caitlin in the wings?
Yep. She's under number 8, Caitlin Lamp.
Oh, there. Okay, there she goes. She's okay. Thank you. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. And we start with Mason, and we go right through Mason, Kenise, Caitlin, and Sabrina. Go right ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon to the Appropriations Committee and all who have joined to listen and participate in today's hearing. My name is Mason Holland. I'm a junior political science major. I serve as the president of the undergraduate student body on UConn Stores campus, and I uniquely am not from the state of Connecticut. See, my UConn story, probably like many other out-of-staters, begins with a UConn basketball memory. And for me, Kemba Walker's step back in Madison Square Garden in 2014 didn't only secure a Big East title for UConn, but also my decision for where I wanted to go to school. And from then, as a 13-year-old kid with a big brain and a bad jump shot at the time, I knew UConn was where I wanted to be. Now, my family, while into sports, was never quite focused on the bright lights of college basketball, because for us, education always takes precedence. While my grandparents did not attend college, my father has a bachelor's, while my mother also does as well and has 3 masters and a doctorate in education. So when it came to college, academics were more important than anything else. The day my father dropped me off in Stores, he actually told me, "Son, this is a business trip, so don't forget why you're here." And since that day, I haven't. I've worked hard to secure a 3.7 GPA. I've served in a number of leadership roles, and I've collected experiences and connections here that will set me up for life. Experiences such as living in the Scholars House learning community, working as a student advocate in NAACP and UConn collaborative organizing, and so many other opportunities that this testimony alone would not do justice to. See, it was here at UConn that I realized that I want to commit my time on this earth to a lifetime of community service, improving education policy in the state to ensure that every single student can see their lives reflected in the classroom, and to ensure that students see themselves in their education. UConn has provided me with a head start in life and a solid foundation that I can build upon. And I'm here today to ensure that experience continues for those that come after me. Like my mother's always told me, opening a door is meaningless if you don't hold it open for people to follow you. Every time the university is impacted financially, I can tell you firsthand the door closes a bit more each time. And we as students are impacted by these budget cuts. And while we are fortunate enough to be in an institution that fights for our right to education, we know that those efforts are only as fruitful so long as the state is able to continue to help. Help us keep that door open, for it means nothing if no one is able to follow us through it. Thank you.
Thank you. That was an incredible story. Kenise.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kenise Coker, and I'm from Stamford, Connecticut. I'm a student at the University of Connecticut, where I'm an individualized major studying community health and wellness with a minor in Chinese. I'm also a student in the fast track master's in public health. Throughout high school, I always had a dream of going to college. At a young age, I acknowledged that going to college was a privilege, considering the financial burden and how daunting it is. Upon getting accepted to UConn, I received notice about the Student Support Services Program, also known as SSS, and my acceptance being contingent on my completion of the 5-week summer program. At first, I was discouraged, but after knowing what I know now about the SSS program, I'm confident that my college experience thus far would have not been the same without it. To be a part of a support program geared towards students like myself who are low income, non-traditional, and/or first generation is reassuring. Aside from the program's academic, financial, and personal support, this program and UConn has provided me with compassion, empowerment, and amazing opportunity, which I argue is just as important as the academic aspect. In my freshman year, I declared myself as an independent student, and at that vulnerable moment, I received emotional support from my SSS counselor, who connected me with other support resources, such as financial aid and student health and wellness, who patiently guided me through this challenge. Receiving this collective support from programs department here at UConn allowed me to continue my education here. I'm proud to say that every ounce of support I received was a starting point of my future. Since then, I've been active with community outreach here at UConn, where I've held leadership opportunities with alternative breaks, serve as the president of the Voices of Freedom Gospel Choir, as well as a Bold Woman Leadership Network scholar, where I researched the need and how we can support young mothers on a societal and institutional level. I truly believe that we can only receive what we give. And in UConn giving me a chance at pursuing my education, I was able to pour out the support back into UConn and the greater community. This is why funding is crucial to universities to support students like me. I'm one of the students who demonstrated that the state's investment in UConn is working. And with continued funding, future generations of UConn students, including those who are independent, first generation, low income, and underrepresented, will have the opportunity to graduate from UConn and pour back into our communities throughout the state. These initiatives and students like me should not be cut back. Thank you for your past support of UConn, and I ask you to continue to consider us when reviewing the budget.
Thank you so much. That was a wonderful speech. Thank you very, very much. Have a good afternoon. Good luck. Caitlin.
Hello, my name is Caitlin Lamprey. I'm a second semester sophomore, and I hold the position of student relations at the University of Connecticut Avery Point campus. I'm really honored to present here today, and I just want to say thank you to everyone for allowing us to speak. It's really special to be here. Even though these huge state funding decisions seem like they're just benefiting numbers on a sheet, I'm here, and as Kenise and Mason are here, and Sabrina, just to express our individual experiences in which Connecticut funding and UConn programs have both benefited me and impacted the trajectory of our futures. I'm an English major, sociology minor, and looking towards a career in education. Being a first generation college student responsible for my own tuition payments, I'm aware that the impact finances have on education is crucial. This academic year, 2021 to 2022, UConn provided me with $16,530 in university grants, making it so my only payment this semester was $423 towards tuition. Without financial aid, I would not be able to attend college. Attending the University of Connecticut has given me an array of opportunities. During my time on campus, I work at the Avery Point Academic Center as a student tutoring assistant. I work at the Avery Point Library as a student library trainee. I'm a member of the Creative Writing Club, and I hold the position of Student Relations and Associate Student Government, where I mainly oversee clubs and assist students with other needs. 2 semesters ago, all 5 UConn student governments signed a bill titled UConnect, an agreement that one representative from each campus's student government would meet monthly. I was lucky enough to be involved in this program thanks to Associate Student Government's President Julia Horlitz and Vice President Zachary Buda, who graciously and happily welcomed me to the UConnect team. UConnect has bred in-depth, comprehensive conversations among all 5 UConn campuses, tackling problems that each campus faces, from conversations such as food insecurity to sexual assault prevention. I'm proud to say that with our collaborative effort, UConnect is uniting UConn and truly finding solutions to current issues. Being involved in programs like UConnect is the reason why I'm here today, being able to speak my story. And being involved in associate student government has given the opportunity to speak up for myself and help other students along the way. Without the help from the University of Connecticut, I would not have gained unique individualized leadership experience that give me necessary skills for my future. Without funding from Connecticut, I wouldn't be receiving a higher education at all. My goal is to give back to Connecticut and to enrich the experiences of peers around me. In my future, I see myself providing an education in English, looking at literature from a sociological lens. My goal is to use all that I've learned and will learn to help those around me to reach their goals, to understand, educate, to expand mindsets, and to give opportunity. Being a resident of Connecticut is a great privilege, and today I'd like to stress the importance that the University of Connecticut has held in the trajectory of my life. All I can say is that I hope others will get the same opportunities that I have gotten, and I'll do anything in my power to support first-generation financially independent students get that education, not only that they deserve, but that they hope and dream for. Thank you.
Thank you. That was fantastic. And you read that very quickly. Thank you very much. You did a great job. Sabrina.
Hello, my name is Sabrina Yuva. I am from Stamford, Connecticut, and I'm the president of the Student Government Association at the UConn Stamford campus. I'm a senior majoring in human development and family sciences with honors and minors in psychology and gerontology. I have gained research experience within my major and as a full-time product manager at the UConn Worth Institute's Stamford Startup Studio, which is an entrepreneurial cooperative education experience. I would like to thank the General Assembly and the committee members for supporting the University of Connecticut and holding this hearing today. As I approach my final semester as an undergraduate student at UConn, I would like to take time to reflect on my academic and professional experiences that highlight the importance of access to high quality and affordable education. About 4 years ago, I started my journey at UConn Stamford. I chose this campus because of the vibrant community, the enrichment programs, and the opportunity to build skills for the workforce. As I got acquainted to the Stamford campus, I got involved in leading various student-focused initiatives through a student organization called Huskies for Charity and Student Government Association. Some of my projects include working with state representatives to promote menstrual equity, hosting clothing drives for hundreds of students, and conducting research on the effects of anti-racism engagement across all UConn campuses. My passion for civic engagement and my humanistic perspective contributed to my development of the entrepreneurial mindset. During the coronavirus pandemic, I took a class online called The Entrepreneurial Journey that explored social problems through a virtual reality headset. This class was made accessible to all majors, including me and my social science background. I became interested in scaling the impact in the community by the use of emerging technology through a project that explored wellness-based practices across cultures using YouTube 360 videos. Taking a class in virtual reality prepared me to utilize emerging technology in my projects at the Stamford Startup Studio, where I built management skills leading sprints and technology skills analyzing data from the Stamford community. My experience as a social science researcher gaining technology experience is a reflection of UConn's commitment to equip students with high quality education and the top transferable skills needed for the workforce. Investing in UConn means investing in the next generation of talent for Connecticut's workforce. As I approach post-graduation opportunities, I feel equipped to apply for a competitive position or pursue an advanced degree, given my extensive leadership, research, and work experience I've gained at UConn Stamford. I've recently been accepted to a PhD program at UConn Stores, where I plan to continue building my technical skills and research. Upon completion of the program, I aim to establish a human-centered and technology-driven career in Stamford, Connecticut. Investing in UConn is crucial to ensure access to high-quality and affordable education to build the next generation of talent in Connecticut. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sabrina. And I like your little logo. Thank you, everybody from UConn. And next we have panel 3 from Connecticut State Universities. Eugene, Nicole, and Eva Joyce.
Good afternoon, everyone. Members of the Appropriations Committee. My name is Eugene Zachary Bertrand, and I'm a sophomore at Eastern Connecticut State University, double majoring in elementary education and history. I am humbled by the opportunity I've been given to be in front of you today to share my personal narrative in an effort to echo the importance of funding in higher education. The importance of education has always been told to me from a very young age. Both of my parents and maternal and paternal grandparents were born in different countries, which makes me a first-generation American. Growing up in my maternal household, my mother, who was the first in her family to receive a college education, would often stress the significance of having a college education. My maternal grandmother would also tell me it was important to retain the fact that your education is something that nobody could ever take away from you. In my high school career, I had the opportunity to work with Educators for Excellence, Congresswoman Johanna Hayes, Governor Lamont, and now Secretary Miguel Cardona on policy that ensures diversity, equity, and inclusion within education. If it was not for Secretary Cardona encouraging me to become an educator, I might have gone into the United States military. I became the exemplar of my family's aspirations when I had the opportunity to become a member of the Eastern Connecticut State University as the warrior. Prior to stepping onto Eastern's campus, our former Vice President of Student Affairs, Dr. Walter Diaz, recruited me to work into his office as a student worker. I was awarded a scholarship, but that barely covered the third of my tuition. With this paid position, it opened endless opportunities for me at Eastern. If it was not for Dr. Walter Diaz, I would not be in front of you today encouraging you all to please continue investing in students like me who are ambitious and want to instill change in a society that is unjust. With this position, I was able to further my aspirations in and outside of the university. Today, I am proud to say I have earned a full ride to Eastern, being a resident assistant, which offers an on-campus housing scholarship, and a member of the University Honors Program, which has a full tuition academic scholarship. Eastern has equipped me with the tools that will only enhance my education and the self-confidence to be a student leader in my environment I choose to walk into. I plan on paying it forward as a conscientious member of society and an educator to enable students to see their true potential like Dr. Diaz and Dr. Cardona did for me. Moving forward, I will continue to contribute to the state of Connecticut with one motto in the back of my mind. It is important to retain the fact that your education is something that no one can ever take away from you. That brings me to my point. Public funding for higher education is essential, as it has allowed students just like me to reach their full potential and not have to worry as much about the financial burden while trying to pursue a higher education degree. So I am asking that you please continue to invest in me and my peers' future. Properly distributing sufficient funds to higher education institutions in Connecticut is an investment. As many of us speaking today and the rest of the students who belong to CSUs are the future leaders of Connecticut and plan on returning that investment for greatness. Thank you.
Thank you, Eugene. That was fantastic. Thank you. Next, we have Nicole, number 12. Good afternoon, Nicole.
Hi. Good evening, everyone. My name is Nicole Elsinger. I am a senior at Central Connecticut State University. I'm pursuing a degree in accounting. I am CCSU Student Government Association President and will share the importance of increased funding for state institutions. The K-12 education that I received in my hometown of Suffield focused on envisioning our futures. From career days in middle school to college preparation in high school, there was always an element of progression. What were we going to become? I remember the anticipation throughout my senior year of high school regarding college applications. We were finally able to define our futures. However, I struggled to partake in this excitement. Due to my family's financial situation, I had to assume responsibility for most college expenses. With this barrier to entry in place, what would I become? After significant consideration of my financial future, I enrolled at CCSU mainly because of the affordable tuition. I realized that CCSU is where the rest of my life would start. The mounting pressure from my prior education of imagining my future was also worsened by my own shyness. Despite my fear of talking to people, I ran for student government. Since you all are elected officials, I'm sure you know the amount of social engagement involved with running for office. Campaigning for my position as an SGA senator pushed me far outside of my own comfort zone. Fortunately, I won my first race and started my career on SGA. With this newfound hobby, what would I become? Being on student government and working with the CCSU Student Activities Office was one of the best decisions that I made for myself. I was working in a supportive environment with people who motivated me to be a better leader, to come out of my shell and to realize my capabilities. Because of this support, I continued with SGA and eventually became president, which I never considered possible. The dedication to student activities at CCSU was exemplified throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. Despite the uncertainty, our clubs continued functioning. Resources were quickly provided to accommodate online meetings, and previously on-ground events were reimagined. This level of commitment is unique to CCSU and wholly important to those such as me who developed because of their student involvement. I am at the end of my college career now, which has allowed for reflection on my experience, and the results largely appease the uncertainties of my past self. I am graduating college debt-free due to the affordable tuition and quality education I received at CCSU. I am no longer shy or scared in the company of others. I no longer have to question what I will become. The resources and devotion to success that I experience at CCSU are instrumental to my personal growth. Attaining these experiences would not have been possible without the affordable tuition at CCSU. Financial support should be continued to provide this opportunity to as many students as possible. Thank you so much for your time and for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, and that was excellent. Thank you. Thank you for your speech. Next, Eva Joyce.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Hello, distinguished members of the Appropriations Committee. My name is Eva Joyce Spivey. I am a graduate student in my final semester, pursuing my Master of Science in Sociology at Southern Connecticut State University. I also obtained my Bachelor's in Political Science from Southern in 2018. I come before you today to share my personal experience and stress the importance of funding for our universities. I want to begin by stating I'm a first-generation college student from a Black single-parent household. I did not have access to the same level of financial resources as others around me. My mother always stressed the importance of me going to college, working hard, and paving a way for myself, but neither of us really realized the cost or financial burden that comes once you get admitted into college. So in August 2014, just 2 weeks before moving day, despite having several acceptance letters in hand, I couldn't afford to go anywhere. We applied for loans that we didn't qualify for, searched for scholarships, and none of it was enough. So I reached out to my financial aid counselor at Southern, and she told me she'd give me a call back. And within an hour, she reached back out to me and let me know that I was being awarded a scholarship funded through the state. I began school a week later, and my life changed. At Southern, I grew into a leader. Funding allowed me to work on campus in the Office of Student Involvement and Leadership Development. I joined a community-conscious, action-oriented organization, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, and I became engulfed in all of Southern's social justice initiatives. The office and many others at our universities provide resources for all students to develop themselves beyond college and go out into the world like myself. At Southern is where I found my passion for diversity, equity, and inclusion in higher education, and deciding to pursue my master's in sociology at a social justice-driven university was an easy decision, but my decision became clear because I knew I would have access to these financial resources. Without the continued support and funding from the Distinguished Committee, thousands of students will not be able to cultivate their identities and become leaders in the community. Without the funding support, I would not have been able to attend college, let alone be completing my second degree in just 2 months. The bottom lines are, without the funding and support, I would have not been able to sit before you today. Aiding in the continued growth and development of this generations is really at the heart of everything I do, and I can't do that alone. I trust that they will be able to rely on your continued support and funding, and I want to thank all of you distinguished members today for allowing me the opportunity to address you, and my campus community at Southern for allowing me this opportunity as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Eva Joyce, and we want to thank you for taking that opportunity and making sure you make the most of it. So that makes us happy. So thank you very much. All right, that ends the second panel. Now, third panel. Now we go on to UConn Health, where Ryan, Anisha, David, and Sarah. Good evening, good afternoon. Ryan, go right ahead.
Hi, my name is Ryan Englander. I'm a fourth year MD PhD student at the University of Connecticut School of Medicine, and I'm in the process of completing my PhD through UConn at the Jackson Laboratory for Genomic Medicine in Farmington, Connecticut. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today about the incredible impact that the UConn Health Center has made on my early career and the innovative, cutting-edge work occurring at the institution that is transforming medicine as we know it. Ever since the age of 10, I've been passionate about finding new treatments and cures for patients with cancer. At that age, my paternal grandfather passed away from pancreatic cancer, a horrific disease which ravaged his body and left the strong, sturdy man I knew utterly emaciated. That passion to one day find a cure for the disease that took his life before his time drove me to apply to MD PhD programs so that I could merge the holistic appreciation of the intricacies of the human body with a deeper understanding of the science of cancer in order to bring cutting-edge research from bench to bedside. I was ecstatic when I was accepted into UConn's program. As an undergrad at Storrs, I was intimately familiar with the strength of the research program at UConn Health Center, particularly its groundbreaking partnership with the nonprofit research institution, the Jackson Laboratory, also known as JAX. I was lucky to find a laboratory at JAX that was using cutting-edge gene sequencing techniques and state-of-the-art computational algorithms to look for cancer vaccine targets in real human tumors from real human cancer patients with lung and breast cancer. So many PhD students at institutions all over the country spend years, sometimes up to a decade, studying specific model systems in mice and rabbits that, while interesting, bear little to no relation to the reality of human diseases like cancer. I knew this is not what I wanted to do for my PhD, and I was ecstatic that at JAX and UConn, there were quite literally dozens of accomplished faculty who understood this reality and were pioneering new approaches to understand the core fundamental nature of human cancers. Over the past 2 years in my PhD program, I went from having zero experience knowing how to apply computational algorithms to biology, literally none, to building an entire computational pipeline that has already identified potential vaccine candidates for human lung and breast cancer. We are currently in the process of validating these new targets in the laboratory right now. I want to emphasize, this is real data from clinical trial patients that is being used not only to train the next generation of physician scientists in Connecticut, but also to identify real candidates for new clinical applications. This sort of translational research is the stuff that cures are made of, and it's happening right here at UConn Health. But none of this could happen without your generous support. Investing resources in UConn Health and the vibrant research community that is blossoming here is virtually guaranteed to pay dividends many times over in the years to come by attracting accomplished scientists and doctors, producing new scientists and doctors from the state's flagship institution, and generating first-rate research and intellectual property that can be leveraged for new biotechnology development right here in Connecticut. Most importantly, that research over time saves the lives of people living in Connecticut and all over the world. Case in point, my uncle was diagnosed with mesothelioma, an aggressive cancer of the chest cavity, over 2.5 years ago. He was given 6 months to live at the time. I was horrified to have to relive the brutality of chemotherapy, knowing those 6 months would be utter hell for someone I loved. My uncle peacefully passed away in his home 3 weeks ago, after 2.5 years of basically uninterrupted good health. Because instead of chemotherapy, he was placed on an immunotherapy regimen, the exact same sort of immunotherapy that is being studied by researchers at UConn Health. Those drugs gave my uncle his life back for 2 beautiful years. And one day, with your continued support for the UConn Health Center and the research being done there, people like my uncle will be cured. Thank you for your time and consideration, and thank you for all that you do.
Thank you, Ryan. That was fantastic. Thank you. Next, Anisha.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Anisha Lewis. I'm a third-year medical student at the University of Connecticut School of Medicine. First, I would just like to thank you for your support of UConn School of Medicine as well as UConn Health. And I'm just here to share a little bit about my experience to just encourage you to continue your generous support of my institution. So first, I was born and raised in the state of Connecticut. I was first introduced to the UConn Health system during my junior year of high school, where I participated in a program through the Health Career Opportunities Programs Office, which works hard to recruit and retain students of underrepresented backgrounds in order to encourage them to go into the field of medicine or dental medicine. And I had the opportunity to work in a research lab as a junior in high school, and it was an experience that I never have forgotten. I remember standing on the stage, presenting my research. It was an opportunity that changed my life. And during that program was when I decided that I wanted to become a physician, and my goal was to become a doctor. And continuing through college, I participated in several other programs through HCOP at UConn Health. And I just grew such a network of supportive faculty, physicians, just mentors that kind of helped me throughout my pre-med experience and also encouraged me and kind of, encouraged me through the pipeline to medical school. And then here I am today. So I returned to UConn and I conducted research for 3 additional years, and then I began the application process. And when I was applying to medical school, there was nowhere else that I'd rather be other than UConn because of all the support that I had received throughout my undergrad experience. So my desire to go to medical school was based on becoming a physician and also becoming an advocate for my community. I strongly wanted to work on eliminating healthcare barriers in order to achieve health equity within communities of color and underrepresented communities. And I felt that I would be able to do that at UConn with the support that I had here. During the COVID-19 pandemic, obviously was highlighted the racial and ethnic disparities that already existed within our community. And through UConn, I was able to use the resources and initiatives already created in order to address those barriers that existed in order to eliminate some of those disparities. I served as the chapter president of our Student National Medical Association, which works to support underrepresented minority medical students and also address the needs of the community of underserved communities. So through that organization, we were able to kind of just foster community, have discussions on racism, the impact of racism on our patients' lives, the impacts of racism within the system of just healthcare within providers as well. And just how we can kind of address those issues in order to provide better care to our patients. We also started clinics where we would go to barbershops in predominantly Black neighborhoods and do hypertension screening and just provide healthcare information. And those are really, really impactful programs that we had. In addition to that, we would just encourage other students of color, other underrepresented students to kind of consider the path of medicine and the importance of diversifying our healthcare field. So just in conclusion, the University of Connecticut, including the HCOP programs, just contribute so much to recruiting and retaining students of diverse backgrounds. I would not be here without them finding me in my junior year of high school. And they also just work really hard to kind of just support the initiatives created to support the needs of underrepresented communities. So with all of that being said, I urge you to continue or increase your support of UConn School of Medicine and UConn Health so that we can continue the great work that has already been done. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your testimony and good luck in your studies. Good luck. Next, we have David. David, good afternoon or good evening, I guess.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, my name is David Mans, and I'm speaking today in support of the University of Connecticut and UConn Health. Thank you for the opportunity to contribute my thoughts and for your consideration. I was born in Connecticut and I've lived here my whole life. In that time, I've been fortunate to attend the University of Connecticut for my entire professional career. In 2012, I graduated from the University of Connecticut in Stores with their Bachelor's of Science in Biological Sciences and a minor in Business. In 2021, I graduated from UConn Health with a dental degree and a PhD in Biomedical Sciences. And today I'm a resident at UConn Health in the Advanced Education in General Dentistry program. As a student at the University of Connecticut, I've been involved or I've been around for some of the largest public funding initiatives in the school's history. UConn 2000 was before my time, but the changes on the campus were drastic and they contributed to my decision to attend the university. While I was there, 21st Century UConn further changed the campus. And then when I moved to UConn Health, Bioscience Connecticut Initiative and Next Generation Connecticut were both transforming that campus as well. So my experience through that long amount of time allows me to personally attest to the profound effects that these investments had from a student's perspective. They improved facilities, they enabled faculty recruitment, and I think they provided opportunities to me and to others that may have not otherwise been possible. I think the quality of the education and the opportunities that were available to me were some of the key reasons I have continued to choose to continue my education at UConn at every step. And as a result of that, I've spent nearly half of my life at the University of Connecticut. And for that reason, I would encourage you to continue to support the university and UConn Health. I think support for UConn and UConn Health will ensure that future students continue to see the University of Connecticut as a bastion of education and opportunity. I feel that it's exceptionally important considering a study showed that 72% of the university's graduates live and work in Connecticut after they graduate. And therefore, the University of Connecticut plays a vital role in cultivating the next generation of Connecticut's leaders, educators, and clinicians. And an investment in UConn and other state universities is an investment in the state's future. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you, David. And half your life you've been at UConn?
Almost. Almost, yeah, a little less.
Okay.
It's been a while.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Next, we have Sarah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep. Good
Excellent.
evening.
Wonderful. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sarah Scholf. I am from West Hartford, Connecticut. I'm a proud graduate of Hall High School's class of 2013 and am now unbelievably almost a third-year medical student at UConn. I want to begin by thanking all of you for taking the time to listen to us and give us the opportunity to speak. And with my testimony, I hope to explain why now more than ever, continued support of UConn Health is imperative to investing in Connecticut's future. So for as long as I've wanted to pursue medicine, it has always really been my goal to work with underserved populations and beyond that, to really understand the societal, social, and economic barriers that leave groups of people with insufficient access to healthcare and as a result of that, worse healthcare outcomes. So accordingly, when I was thinking about where I want to pursue my medical education, one of the biggest draws of UConn was how well their institutional values aligned with my own beliefs and goals. As I detailed more fully in my written testimony, students at UConn, and in particular, students like myself who are members of our Urban Service Track or UST, don't just learn about addressing healthcare disparities from an academic standpoint, we actually live it. UST scholars program, coordinate, and deliver over 70 community-based programs per year to thousands of medically underserved patients in our state. I've had the pleasure of participating in many of these, and I would say that my most impactful experience to date has been volunteering with the City of Hartford's door-to-door COVID vaccination program, in which we quite literally got to be the boots on the ground in the north and south end of Hartford, knocking on doors, delivering actual COVID vaccines, but beyond that, also just having conversations with community members, building relationships, answering questions and concerns, truly what it means to have public health in action. And independently of that, as a first year, myself and another classmate growing frustrated with the misinformation-fueled vaccine hesitancy that we were each observing at our primary care pre-ship sites. And I should note this was before the introduction of the COVID vaccine, so things like flu shots, HPV, et cetera. We formed a group called Students for Accurate Vaccine Information, which is an interprofessional group of healthcare students, medicine, pharmacy, dentistry, nursing, and public health, with the goal of promoting vaccine confidence in the community through education and advocacy. I should also note that really at every turn, we have received nothing but encouragement from the amazing UConn faculty, as well as our peers and community partners, for which I'm extremely grateful and is another great benefit of being part of the UConn community. So in closing, as I think this pandemic has illustrated more clearly than ever, we desperately need healthcare professionals who are committed to justice, advocacy, and community service. My education at UConn has given me the tools to begin to think critically about these issues, as well as, perhaps more importantly, opportunities to put them into action and give back to communities that mean so much to me. When you support UConn Health and UConn School of Medicine, you are supporting a new generation of physicians and healthcare providers who are dedicated to changing healthcare for the better in a way that prioritizes equity and access. We are ready for this challenge, but right now we need your continued support to help us get there. So thank you for your consideration and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, and I think you've convinced a few of us already. Okay, thank you for your speech. Next, we have the fifth panel, the community college, and we have Lorenzo, Salma, Joanna, and Lena. So we're going to start out with Lorenzo. Good evening, Lorenzo.
Good evening. All right. Hello, everyone. Esteemed members of the Appropriations Committee, and those of you that are watching, it seems I have a tough act to follow. I really like everything that I've heard so far. Anyway, my name is Lorenzo Enderle, the student government president of Three Rivers Community College, majoring in environmental engineering technology and data analytics, which is a mouthful. I stand before you to share my story in the hopes of underlining why higher education needs the support your funding offers. Among my earliest memories was of my dad sharing a lesson with me after I pestered him to be given something. He told me that I should not work for the reward, but instead because it is the right thing to do and it must be done. A little abashed, I did not quite understand what that really meant until the lowest point in my life, some 16 years later. I was recovering from an emergency surgery and unable to really truly process my grief. I began to lose contact with reality, and I began seeing myself more as a stranger. With great vulnerability, though, often comes a great shame at our circumstances and how we arrived at them. Finding that I could not drown out the ocean roar of silence that was beginning to fill my ears, I began to meditate, and I found peace in knowing that although so much of myself may fall away, there are anchors of experience that remain. My dad's words, that voracious love of learning and of reading, and the irrefutable truth that all hope lies in education. No battle can be won by those ignorant that there is something to be fought for. And when I first arrived at Three Rivers in 2017, I had no idea what I was in for. I found a community that questioned, that accepted, and was receptive to change. I quickly became involved in student life, and it was there where I met my now fiance, Sebastian, and where I met some of the most driven volunteers I've ever met. I began my first term as president when the pandemic began, under the platform that we stick together, and those who have the privilege of elevating those beneath us, to do so with compassion and education. The pandemic changed much about the way I live. I lived on my own at the time, working part-time in school and in work, and commuting to school 2 hours each day total. I found challenges in simply feeding myself and keeping my head above water with bills, academics, and just the daily drudgery of everyday life. Because the availability of some support services have decreased to help cover some costs, I make a daily choice as to what resources I need to focus on with my studies or with basic necessities. And our school, unfortunately, was forced to close and then limit our cafeteria, and many of our other support services became delayed. I came to realize how much of our education relied on financial backing, but also how closely tied our community was to it as well, and how crises tend to widen the gaps between those with basic privilege and those without. I humbly ask of this committee what I ask of the students who elect me, and what I ask of myself, that you use the authority granted to you to elevate the lives of a community, and that we stick together in crisis and begin to heal. Thank you for listening to my story, and thank you for your time. It has been an honor.
Thank you, Lorenzo, for sharing your story. And yes, you followed all of the people that spoke before you, and you spoke from your heart. So thank you so much for sharing that story with us. Next, we have Selma. Good evening.
Good evening, members of the Appropriation Committee. My name is Salma Akhtar from Waterbury and currently in my 4th semester in nursing school at Nagsuk Valley Community College. I'm hoping to graduate this May with degrees in general studies, nursing, and a certificate in visual arts. I'm here today to advocate for Nagsuk Valley Community College and how I was guided towards success. From the start, I am the first person from my family to attend college in the States. I did not have much of financial support nor guidance from my family because they weren't aware of the education system here. Therefore, I was nervous about the transition to college and tuition. But my active involvement with GERUP and WAVE program helped me with smooth transition from high school to college, class schedule, advised me when I get overwhelmed with classes, and self-confidence. For those who are not familiar with the WAVE program, it stands for Workforce Achievers of Value Education, funded by Northwest Regional Investment and Board by Kathy Award. Through WAVE, I was able to work on campus, support my community, and I also received checks every semester, which supported me outside of school. I am currently a student worker at Center of Academic Planning and Student Success at Nagsuk Valley Community College. As a student worker, I got the opportunity to learn more about the program that are available to students to succeed academically and financially. For example, NVCC Foundation Scholarship, job opportunities on campus, tutoring center, also known as ACE Center, food pantries, and advising center, known as CAPS office. I noticed many students like myself struggle with classes, tuition, and career planning because they did not reach out for help or didn't know who to turn to. One of many ways to help students with tuition is by making tuition and fees affordable, which may benefit students succeeding classes and complete their degrees. This allows students to find sustainable jobs and decrease financial hardship. I consider myself fortunate to be part of such program and institutions where student success is the priority. I personally utilize every resources that was provided by NVCC to succeed in classes, and which I also advocated to other students so they can succeed in class as well. Well, with a lot of hard work, I finally got into the nursing program. My mentors and advisors are actively involved with my education, and when I told them about my acceptance, they were a lot more excited than myself. That's why I say behind my outstanding achievement in NVCC stands my advisors from CAPS office, tutoring center, and amazing mentors from WAVE and GERUP, and supporting staff from NVCC. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. And thank you for remembering and recognizing the people who helped you get to where you are. Thank you. Joanna.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening, members of the Appropriations Committee. It is my honor to appear before you this evening. My name is Joanna Perricone, and I am a second-year automotive technology student at Gateway Community College. My relationship with Connecticut State Colleges began well over a decade ago when I graduated from Central Connecticut State University with a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Theater. That degree served as a launching pad into graduate school, where I earned a Master of Arts in Arts Administration and went on to a rewarding 10-year career serving several Connecticut nonprofit organizations. When I was laid off from my position at a Hartford nonprofit in 2020 due to COVID-19, I decided the timing was right for a career change. As a teenager, I started doing small repairs on my car and loved the feeling of fixing it on my own. As an adult, I love helping other people with their cars and find my work days at the shop fulfilling. Fast forward, and I found myself sitting in a classroom at Gateway's North Haven campus, a student once again. From my first visit to campus, I felt welcomed, from the security guards to the maintenance staff to the professors. Everyone cares deeply. Let me tell you something about women in the automotive field. There aren't many of us. Knowing that can feel intimidating at times, but the faculty and staff at Gateway are supportive and go above and beyond in their roles. Our popular automotive program provides students with connections to local dealerships and independent repair shops that as non-students, we wouldn't have access to. These connections, for many of us, have led to employment in the field before even graduating. The faculty and staff worked hard and advocated for the school to remain open and safe because you can't learn how to do an oil change through Zoom, and they knew that going virtual would mean sacrificing our learning experiences. My professors in the automotive program played a part in recognizing my hard work by making me aware of scholarships provided by the Gateway Community College Foundation. After applying, I was awarded the Town Fair Tire Fellowship, which covered my second year of school. It's evident that the professors, faculty, and donors' investment in students reaches beyond the classroom. As I enter into my last semester at Gateway, I am filled with gratitude. This school has made me feel welcome and provided me with the tools to become an excellent automotive technician. Attending school can be life-changing for a person. It changed mine. My story is one of many success stories that are a result of Connecticut state colleges and universities. For this reason, continued support of them is crucial. This May, I will be graduating with an associate's degree and continuing to work at an independent shop. It's been a wild ride, and I can't wait for the next chapter. Growing up, there wasn't a mechanic in the family. When I'm around cars now, I'm comfortable, confident, happy, and able. I'm the family mechanic now. I have Gateway to thank for that. Thank you, legislators, for all your hard work and your support of our colleges.
Thank you, Joanna. And you know what? It's great to have a mechanic in the household. Thank you so much. Next, we have Sarah. Nope, sorry. Lena, sorry, my bad. Lena?
Good evening, members of the Appropriations Committee. My name is Lena Neary, and I'm from Thomaston, Connecticut, and I'm a second-year student at Northwestern Connecticut Community College. I will be graduating this May with an associate's degree in liberal arts and sciences. I plan to transfer to a four-year institution this fall and obtain a bachelor's degree in political science and then eventually go to law school. The funding that is provided to community colleges is important in aiding the colleges in making these opportunities available to students. Many people do not realize how much community colleges support their students. Everyone always looks down on community college. I even had someone tell me in high school that community college is like going to the 13th grade. However, Northwestern has shown me how wrong everyone was. Since enrolling in Northwestern, I've obtained an immense number of amazing opportunities. I'm involved in a program at Northwestern called Team Success Scholars, which is a cohort-based scholarship program that is there to help college students succeed. The program has opened many doors for me. I've obtained multiple certifications, various internship opportunities, as well as many helpful skills. I've held a position as an education intern at the American Mural Project in Winstead, and I'm also currently an intern here for the Legislative Internship Program. Northwestern also offers a peer mentoring program in which first-year students can be paired with a second-year student who's willing to help them navigate their first year in college. Northwestern also offers many clubs that allow students to come together and spend time discussing things that they are passionate about. There are also many volunteering opportunities both in the community and on campus. The campus has its own food pantry for the students who need it, as well as a garden that will be used to provide the local community with fresh produce. Not only are these programs offered, but all the professors and staff do their best to help us students succeed. One thing that helps many students in attending community college is the PACT funding that has been supplied for the past 2 years. When applying for college in my senior year of high school, I knew I wanted to graduate from college with as little debt as possible. Upon narrowing down my choices of colleges, I eventually decided that community college would be the right path for me because I had no idea what I wanted to major in. I know the PACT funding that is being supplied has not only helped myself, but also many other students. I attended Waterbury Public Schools prior to graduating high school, and coming from the magnet schools, there are many students from diverse backgrounds. I know this funding is extremely appreciated by students who come from lower income homes, but still want to pursue a degree beyond high school. I appreciate you taking this time to listen to me speak about my experiences at Northwestern Connecticut Community College. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lena. Now we're going up to panel number 6. Will be Sina, John, Evina, and Sarat. Sina, you are up.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Good evening. My name is Senna Wazer, and I am a senior at the University of Connecticut, where I study environmental studies. I'm also a lifelong Connecticut resident, having grown up and currently living in Mansfield. Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak regarding continued state funding for UConn. While my education path has been very non-traditional, I, like many other students, started at one of our state's community colleges, attending Manchester Community College for 2 years, where I completed many general education requirements. From there, I transferred to UConn because of the programs that it offers in my areas of interest. While I originally transferred into UConn as a marine science major, I switched almost immediately to environmental sciences and then again to environmental studies. While this might seem like a lot of switching, I am grateful that UConn provides these options so that students are able to find the major that most interests them. In my case, environmental studies, which focuses on how environmental issues affect people and the kind of policy solutions that are available. In the past 2 years especially, I've been privileged to take part in multiple programs that the university offers, which have greatly helped me as a young leader. Last year, I was part of the UConn Leadership Legacy Program, which helped me, along with 12 other students, grow as people and as leaders. In the fall, I had the opportunity to attend the UN Climate Change Conference, COP26, which happened in Scotland as part of the UConn delegation. And last year, UConn's Office of National Scholarships nominated and supported me as I applied for and received the Truman Scholarship. My point with all of this is to demonstrate the opportunities that UConn has provided to me and my peers, which would not be possible without state funding. State funding is critical to ensure that UConn is able to stay financially accessible for as many students as possible, while also preserving and enhancing education and research quality. With over 60% of employed UConn graduates choosing to stay and work in Connecticut, funding UConn is also a wise investment in our state's future. As a young person, and especially as a young climate activist, which is the other hat that I generally wear, I hear all too often that young people will save our planet, that we will bring around positive change, and that we give people hope. However, to do any of those things, we need to be invested in. And one way of doing that is to invest in our universities. As such, I hope they will continue funding UConn and ensuring that students are able to receive the quality education they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sina. Appreciate it. Up next is John Durham.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Senator Austin, Representative Walker, and distinguished members of the Appropriations Committee. My name is Sergeant John Durham. I am a veteran and an East Lyme native and a student at the University of Connecticut. I currently serve the Connecticut Army National Guard as a military police officer with the 643rd MP Company out of Westbrook, and at UConn I'm pursuing a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science as well as a Master's in Public Administration. I'm grateful for this opportunity to be a voice for the proud veteran community at our state's flagship institution. As a teenager who struggled throughout high school, I turned to the military after guidance counselors and teachers told me to lower expectations, and in April of my senior year, I was introduced to the National Guard, and not a month later, I had taken an oath and signed my name. Almost immediately, I felt like I had a new direction and a positive momentum in my life. Of course, this decision did not come with some challenges. From a 9-month deployment in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, to military schooling and comprehensive training, my experience in the National Guard instilled dedication, motivation, and a strong work ethic. Even still, as my career progressed, I knew that getting back to UConn to complete both my military and civilian goals would be important in my personal development. The University in Connecticut and I have an interesting history akin to that of a turbulent relationship. One isn't ready to commit to the other and obstacles get in the way. This made it all the more exciting to be fully enrolled as a student in the fall of 2020. I believe I hold the distinction as the only student in UConn's history to receive 7 different acceptance letters corresponding to 3 different majors across 2 campuses. And so far in my UConn career, I've spent my time deepening my involvement with UConn's music programs, singing in 2 choirs, as well as a student-run a cappella group called the Conmen. I'm also actively involved in a National Honors Fraternity and this veteran student organization. UConn is my dream school, not just for the music, the academics, and the people, but because of the institution's infrastructure and the support for transitioning veterans. Before I became a work study in the Student Affairs office, I had the VAMP team on speed dial. They were able to guide me through my applications, acceptances, and they have been a critical resource for me navigating college life. The team members care greatly about the student veterans, and what is especially important is that they understand how difficult it can be to take the step of going back to school. Even at 23, it has been difficult to find my place within the UConn community, but because of the VAMP team and the VSO, I have found the support that I need. One of the best parts about this school's VA is its involvement in the Veteran Student Organization. The club is run by student officers, but the full-time staff at the VA office organize events and guide student leaders to success. And I can speak for all of our student veterans in saying that without the support of UConn has shown to this community, pursuing a higher education later in life would be a burdensome feat. The past 5 years of my military career have been eye-opening. I have met some of my best friends and mentors along the way, and it has opened door after door. Still, I consider myself to be one of the lucky ones. And that became more apparent this last October when I lost a great friend and team member to suicide. I realized that in order to step up and face this issue, I need to be more than a non-commissioned officer for my soldiers, but I needed to be there for my peers and leaders alike. Anyone in need, anyone struggling. This is why the VSO and VAMP are so important. The VSO provides veterans a support group of friends to rely on one another and tackle the new challenge of college together. And I'm going to make it my mission to incorporate suicide prevention when I serve as the VSO president next year. Even if one life is saved, whether it's over by a speaker's words or a friendly chat over coffee, it will have been worth it. And as I reached the halfway point in my time here at UConn, I have found that I have really started to discover my place. Whether it's singing on the stage, excelling in the classroom, or helping my fellow veterans, I know that it's where I'm meant to be. Ensuring that our state continues to invest in our students, our faculty, and our veterans will create the best environment for students like me to continue their education. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, John, for your service as a one Army veteran to another. Thank you very much. Evina, you're up now. Avina, number 24. Surat, number 25.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right,
The floor
hi.
is yours.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Surat Mira, and I'm a sophomore here at UConn as an English major on the pre-med track. I was born in Pakistan, but my parents moved to Meriden, Connecticut when I was 9 months old to make sure that my siblings and I would have the best opportunity for education. Because both of my parents don't have college degrees and they wanted us to be able to pursue any career we wanted, as the eldest daughter to immigrant parents, I uphold responsibilities that most of my other friends don't have. With my parents not knowing English that well, I often find myself helping my dad send emails, file paperwork, or talk on the phone. While these acts may seem simple, it is dire that I step in to help them because no one else can. Watching my parents struggle to build a business from nothing, I knew I wanted to be resourceful and get a college degree. Being a Muslim, first-gen, and low-income student, I knew applying to college would be a challenge. Having no one to assist me when applying for college, I knew that the odds of me getting accepted were against me. When I was accepted to UConn, I was excited to be able to be involved in a community that shared my values. My acceptance to UConn required that I participate in the Student Supportive Services, or also known as SSS program, which meant I had to take 5 weeks of summer classes in the summer of 2020. I saw this as an opportunity for myself to succeed and gain college credit. Since making my decision to come to UConn through the SSS program, I've received tremendous benefits, including being connected to opportunities which I otherwise may have not known about, such as the McNair Apprenticeship. This program allowed me to work directly with a faculty member on research. I'm proud to say that I now have secured a spot in a laboratory to conduct my own project as a sophomore after entering college during a global pandemic. I have found such value in these programs, as they have given me a well-rounded experience so far here at UConn and will help me reach my goal of becoming a physician in the state of Connecticut. I urge you to continue to fund these programs in the Hartford campus to allow other low-income students and first-generation students to benefit from programs like these. I would like to thank everyone for their time today and would also like to acknowledge that it is a privilege to be able to get education from UConn.
Thank you very much. Is Evina on? Seeing no, we're going on to panel number 7. Patrick, Eden, Gregory, and Adriana. Patrick, you're up.
Good evening to Senator Walker and all members of the Appropriations Committee. My name is Patrick Moody. I am a junior marketing major at the Western Connecticut State University Ansell School of Business. I commute to the university daily from my hometown, Bethlehem, Connecticut. I'm here to convey the importance for increased funding for higher education with testimony rooted from my own experience. Since high school, my interest has been to pursue a master's degree. Affordability and quality education were the two standards that I set for myself when selecting an institution where I could continue my pursuits beyond the credits that I earned in advanced placement programs. This led me to enroll at Western Connecticut State University, where I continue to have the opportunity to further educate myself with reliance on the continued and increased support of the members of this committee. Since the fall of 2019, I have had the opportunity to work towards a degree and a prominent future within my college. A challenge I've had to face from the get-go was being able to support myself financially for tuition and general expenses. Although my time between my first semester and the spring of 2020 was brief, it is clear on how the recent pandemic has increased the burden of financial hardships on myself and other students, often to those who are all too familiar with it. Obligations influenced by current events, both at home and at school, have not only impacted my financial flexibility, but the time that I have available to make up for it. Establishment-based resources such as departments for physical and mental health assistance, career guidance, job finding resources, and especially opportunities for financial support are critical to students more now than ever. These are resources that make it possible for my peers and myself to continue with our ambitions with the support of this committee. I'm fortunate enough to be able to interact with many students through my extensive work in extracurricular pursuits, through my role as Student Government Association President, not only in my respective institution, but every Connecticut college and state university within the CSCU. Discussion and interaction with other student leaders and representatives of large student bodies echo the financial difficulties students must face head-on, since monetary support from their families is limited or in many contexts non-existent. I'm blessed to be able to stay with my family for the duration of my educational endeavors for no cost. Many students do not have this asset available to them and still face the same, if not more difficult financial situations that they have to overcome to continue with their ambitions of higher education. I believe that the recent and pre-existing financial hardships warrant the attention and support of the committee, as the students who take advantage of said resources depend on it to continue their pursuit of a higher education. I ask that the committee take the testimonies from every student tonight and recognize the diverse but unified call for continued and increased support for higher education in Connecticut's state colleges and universities. I appreciate the opportunity to speak, and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Patrick. I noticed that Eden, who is up next, is in the attendees side of things. Taylor or Susan?
He's a phone, so we're just going to give him permission to speak.
Okay. So Eden.
It's *6 to unmute yourself.
Yep, they've unmuted themselves.
Can
Go
you
ahead,
hear me?
Eden. Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. Thank you. Good evening, distinguished members of the Appropriation Committee. My name is Eden Fritz-Acquire, and I'm from Wethersfield, Connecticut. I'm a senior at Eastern Connecticut State University and will be graduating in May with a bachelor's degree in communication. As a student who is completing her undergraduate degree in 3 years, almost all of my college education has been plagued by the COVID-19 pandemic. Like many Americans and students within the Connecticut State University system, the pandemic has complicated my college career. During this time, I've worked anywhere from 2 to 3 part-time jobs at a time in order to pay my tuition installments and other bills. Money has been tight, especially with the recent tuition increases due to the dire need for funding for our institutions. Some days I work anywhere from 15 or more hours straight in order to afford the cost of living and my education. Like many of my peers, I have been incredibly grateful for the HERF grants we have received. These grants have greatly helped my financial stress, so I'm able to focus more on school than trying to figure out how many hours I need to work at the minimum in order to have enough for my monthly installments and other basic necessities. At the start of the school year, my laptop stopped working. As a communication major who has a concentration in applied media production, this could not have come at a worse time. For 2 months, I did not have a laptop. I would either borrow my friends' laptops or plan around classes to work on school computers in labs or the library in order to complete assignments. Then a HERF grant was provided around November, and I was able to buy a new laptop. During the winter break from school, many of my friends discussed their fun vacation plans, while mine consisted of working at my jobs over break. However, COVID-19 had other plans. Right before the new year, I tested positive for COVID-19 and was unable to work for over 2 weeks. While I should have been resting, I was more worried about finding coverage at work and how I'd be able to afford my installments, which have increased this semester. While this may be the story of one undergraduate student, I can't begin to imagine how many students are in a similar situation as I am. In a time where minimum wage does not meet the rate of living, funding for our higher education institutions is needed more than ever. Bankrate conducted a telephone survey of more than 1,000 adults in early January, that show that 56% of Americans are unable to cover an unexpected $1,000 bill with savings. With percentages like this, it makes me worry how many of my peers are also in this situation. But it also makes me wonder how a HERF grant and further funding for our higher education institutions could change a student's life. Thank you to the distinguished members for your time. We appreciate all that you do for the students who will one day be in your position funding the future of our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Eden. Appreciate it. Up next is Gregory Good.
How are you doing, ma'am? Can you hear me?
We can hear you, sir.
Okay. Good evening, members of the Appropriations Committee. My name is Gregory James Good Jr. I'm a senior at Central Connecticut State University, a senator and the chair of the Academic Affairs Committee on the Student Government Association and president of the History Club. My educational road has been filled with many twists, turns, rest stops, detours due to the financial requirements of college education. I attended college directly out of high school, but the cost became prohibitive within the first year and a half. While I had never had much interest in the military or the armed forces, I started my military career in the Connecticut National Guard because of the state tuition waiver benefits it provided at the state universities. I decided early on that it was important to complete an education and to try my best to do so without burdening my family too much. This was helpful for tuition, fees, books, but the cost of living made it important to also work. This has periodically interrupted my ability to truly give my studies the attention they needed. I enlisted in the active duty to rid myself of student debt I had initially acquired through parent student loans and Stafford loans, and I had planned to use my GI Bill. Well, it is often said that life gets in the way, and my career moved from enlisted military policeman to counterintelligence warrant officer in a 24-year career in the armed forces. To assist my children in their own educational goals, I passed my GI Bill benefits to my daughters, but I still want to complete the educational goals which I had started on all those years ago. I've been a policeman, a customs border clearance agent, an investigator, and a counterintelligence special agent. I've served across the US and in Germany, Croatia, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Kosovo, Italy, Romania, Afghanistan, and South Korea. I've completed many classes, courses, schools, certifications over the years, but I must complete my BA and MS degrees for me to pass the knowledge and experience I gained to the next set of law enforcement, intelligence, and national security professionals, which is what I plan to do once I complete my BA and MS at Central. I told my story today because it outlines how the cost of an education is often a huge obstacle, and the money put toward the state university systems helps students both directly financially by keeping the rising cost of college lower, and in support of the amazing education that I've received and my fellow students have received at Central. The budget proposed will benefit students who were and are traveling on this path to education, whether they are traditional students joining the workforce like I was many years ago, or to get a promotion in their present career field, requiring a degree for that next level, or to make a necessary career change that is due to these hard times of COVID and economic recovery. Your support of this budget request is desperately needed, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your service. Up next is Adriana.
Hi, good evening, distinguished members of the Appropriations Committee. My name is Andreina Barajas Novoa. When you invest in my education, I want you to know that I am a sophomore at Southern Connecticut State University, double majoring in sociology and political science, and I want you to know that a Southern education has allowed me to intern in Congress at 18 years old. I want you to know that I am a child of Mexican immigrants, I am a fruit of their labor, sweat, and tears, and that a Southern education has allowed me to explore the depths of my intersecting identities. It was through my Intro to Sociology course that I discovered intersectionality, and for the first time I felt seen. Since then, I have been able to build upon my understanding of intersectionality and apply it to Angela Davis's explanation of intersectionality of struggle. Intersectionality of struggle, as Davis highlights, means bringing various social justice struggles together across national borders. Her explanation of intersectionality of struggles, I think, complements this quote by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. What affects one directly affects all indirectly. I constantly thought about Angela Davis and Dr. King as I transcribed the names of Afghan families that called my office for help into an online document. I was a congressional intern attending briefings on Afghanistan, immigration, education, and healthcare, and I constantly wondered how I can bring awareness to struggles across national borders. I wondered how I could do more. I wondered why enough was not being done. I wondered what our commitment to protect women, children, and human life meant if we were failing to do so. I ultimately wondered what this experience meant for me moving forward. This constant state of wonder made me realize how much I want to place in the legislative process and how much I hope others dare to want one too. When you invest in Southern students, I want you to know that so too are you investing in their many wonders. Without your continued support for higher education, many students will lose the opportunity to explore themselves, the world around them, and most importantly, the ability to wonder. I hold very closely Southern's commitment to social justice because it is through their initiatives that I learned to lead in my community. I want you to know that Southern has supported my journey to Congress and that your continued support will help cultivate our nation's future leaders. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you all tonight.
Thank you, and I'm so sorry I mispronounced your first name. Up next is Avina. There you go, Avina. Nice to see you.
Sorry for being like we just got done practice.
No, go ahead.
First, I would just like to start off by saying how big of an honor it is to be speaking today. My name is Avina Westbrook, and I am a redshirt senior on the UConn women's basketball team. My story is very unique to most, not only being a transfer, but an out-of-state student. Being from Oregon all the way across the country, it has been very difficult at times trying to adjust geographically and culturally to my surroundings the past 5 years. I attended the University of Tennessee previously, but can easily say that although I had come from a bigger school, UConn is very diverse in my eyes. I have a deep passion for equality and social justice. While being here and have received nothing but support from faculty and staff, which I believe draws more students. My main reason to attend the University of Connecticut was basketball, but because I'm a female athlete, I have an understanding that my education/future is just as important. I knew that my major was going to be communications. As I have always had the dream of broadcasting at a young age. Something that UConn has that many universities do not is the WIGS, Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies program that eventually turned into my minor that I'm finishing this semester. This program reminded me about the community and opportunities that have been provided to me and how important I am, not just as a basketball player, but as a member of the student body as well. My goals and aspirations after I graduate is to be drafted into the WNBA, while also hopefully using my degree in communications to pursue my broadcasting career. Overall, the University of Connecticut has provided opportunities and made tremendous efforts to make everyone feel important, whether it has been on the court or in the classroom. I have faith that this university will continue to do their part and remain committed to the former and future students. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Avina. You were worth the wait.
Thank you.
Up next is panel 8, Derek, Allison, Paul, and Emily. Derek, you're up.
Good evening, and thank you for having me. My name is Derek Lefcourt. I am a junior electrical engineering student at the University of Connecticut, and I grew up in Derby, Connecticut. Oftentimes when I meet people on campus, I simply refer to Derby as some small town somewhere near New Haven. But what I don't tell them is that in 2019, Derby had the 5th highest number of murders per person in Connecticut and ranked 7th in most thefts and burglaries. As you can imagine, these harsh statistics aren't really appropriate during our icebreakers on the first day of class. And I honestly had no idea how bad my hometown was until recently. Being raised by a single mom, I knew we weren't exactly rich, and I knew we never really went on vacation, but my mother always did her best to make me feel comfortable. Regardless of our financial troubles, there was always food on the table, and when Christmas time came around, she would max out a credit card just to make sure Santa stopped by. All of this to say, I grew up disadvantaged in some ways, but fortunate in many others. Where I struggled most was in my ability to dream. Growing up in such a small, simple town, and with many of my family members barely getting through high school, I had absolutely no idea how college worked. I knew I loved school, I knew I was good at it, but I was terrified of aiming too high and felt undeserving of dreams bigger than my hometown. When I got to college, this all began to change. I took part in many of the programs that are funded by the Institute of Student Success, but what truly changed my life is the Ronald E. McNair program. Since the fall of 2020, I've been continuously involved with the McNair program as an apprentice, peer mentor, and now scholar. And I could spend hours talking about all the helpful resources and amazing research experience I gained from this program, but truly it is the connections I have made with faculty members and my fellow McNair scholars that have bettered my life as a whole. These connections are the beating heart of my college experience and have helped dismantle those towering barriers that stood between me and my goals. And it is because of these connections that I plan to pursue a PhD after graduation in hopes of one day becoming a college professor. Fortunately, these connections are not unique to the McNair program and can be found all over UConn's campus. In every residence hall and study room, people are fostering new relationships and achieving what they never thought possible. This is why UConn requires your continued support. Without a large public research institute like UConn and the resources it has been afforded, students from underprivileged backgrounds would have no opportunity to escape their upbringing. For many like myself, it's impossible to shoot for the stars when you've lived your entire life under a cloudy sky. And for me, that first sunny day came when I arrived at UConn. Thank you to the General Assembly for your past support of UConn, and thank you for holding this hearing and providing me the opportunity to share my story.
Thank you very much, Derek. Allison?
Hello, dear members of the Appropriations Committee. I'd first like to thank you for holding this hearing and for the opportunity to represent the incredible student entrepreneurs at UConn. The General Committee has been gracious to support UConn, and I hope to see that support continue. My name is Allie Davenport, and I was born and raised in Litchfield, Connecticut. I'm a sophomore at the University of Connecticut Storrs campus, studying finance and cognitive science. My parents were both first-generation college students and actually met at UConn. Ironically, I never envisioned myself attending here. I wanted to blaze my own path. COVID began when I was months away from high school graduation and faced with decisions regarding my future. Amidst the financial chaos and disruption of a pandemic, I came to the conclusion that UConn had the best return on investment. I'd receive a great education for a fraction of the cost. Having spent 3 semesters here, I know I made the best decision by studying at this university. UConn is unique in that despite the large student population, there are countless ways to find your small pockets of people. I'm a deeply curious academic at heart and have enjoyed the intellectually challenging courses thus far. My favorite experience at the university has to be my involvement with the Peter J. Worth Institute for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. Worth Institute serves as a connective tissue for entrepreneurship at UConn and has been the vessel in which I can experiment entrepreneurially. During my first year, I was involved in a competitive pilot cohort called Freshman Female Founders. I've expanded my network exponentially, gained marketable skill sets, and received seed funding to launch my own business called Starmine. Inspired by the starfish and its unique ability to regenerate damaged limbs, Starmine is a self-development company aimed to shift perspectives and celebrate small wins. The symbolism of growth and renewal through hardship directly relates to my mindset journal, The Guide. I designed it from scratch, partnered with a domestic manufacturer, and launched in early November of 2021. I've sold over 600 units of product thus far. A new book order, The Guide, is currently in production, and I'm working on a few collaborative events with other UConn mental health startups. Some of my closest friends and fellow Worth innovators are saving the bees, reforming the edtech industry with augmented reality flashcards, building exoskeletons, and launching tech startups. If you lump together all of our sales revenue, conversion rates, and article features, it may look impressive. But personally, I'm most proud of the intangible lessons that I've learned along the way that have shaped our trajectories as individuals. I'm not sure if I would be calling myself a young founder had I not attended UConn. I've been observing what the Worth Institute is cultivating through curriculum, programs, and experiential learning models. In doing so, I realized that the curriculum of elite colleges feels archaic when compared to the innovation erupting at the UConn Worth Institute. At UConn, if you're willing to put in the work and own your experience, you'll blaze a uniquely beautiful path. An investment in UConn is an investment in the future of innovation. On behalf of student entrepreneurs like myself, we are grateful for your continued support. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Allison. Up next is Paul.
Good evening, members of the Appropriations Committee. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Paul Isaac, and I'm from Storrs, Connecticut. I'm a junior STEM scholar pursuing a dual degree in molecular and cell biology and diagnostic genetic sciences with a minor in bioinformatics at UConn Storrs campus. All the degree programs that I listed and the scholarship that I've received to come to UConn would not be half of what they are today, or even have existed at all without the generous funding that the Appropriations Committee and the Next Generation Connecticut Initiative has given to UConn. To this end, I want to sincerely thank you all, both for the funding that you've already provided UConn with and for allowing us students to make our voices heard in this assembly and in the discussion of UConn's future funding. I've spent basically my whole life besides UConn, and I've always been amazed to see how much it's grown alongside me. I was born in UConn Health in Farmington and was raised a mere stone's throw away from UConn Stores campus. During this time, I saw the campus change, new buildings appear, and bigger and more diverse batches of students walk through the campus. During my time at E.O. Smith High School, which is smack dab in UConn Stores, it was a culmination of the college credit that I'd built up through UConn's early college education courses and my exposure to the nearby labs in the newly built buildings that made me develop my passion for biology and genetics and consider UConn my obvious first choice for college. The stories I heard of UConn students doing and achieving amazing things through the grants, programs, and facilities that only UConn could provide only further convinced me that UConn was the college in which I could pursue my passions to the best of my ability and discover what my career aspirations were. In the time that I've spent at UConn, I've only grown prouder of being part of the pack and grown as both a person and as a scholar. It's the amazing experiences that I've had with UConn's equally amazing faculty, such as turning a routine exam during the pandemic into an opportunity for us to design our own theoretical COVID vaccine that have driven me to pursue higher education. I'm pretty sure that's the coolest educational experience I've ever had. I hope to pursue an MD at the UConn School of Medicine and continue my full circle life with UConn and work towards becoming a practicing physician at one of Connecticut's many hospitals. I cannot reiterate or truly put into words how much the University of Connecticut has done for me and so many others that you've already heard from tonight. None of this, again, would have been possible without the generous funding that you all have provided, and it's not going to be around to support future students if funding is cut. Above all else, the funding that you've provided has allowed UConn to perpetually adapt with these troubling times and support its students in newer and more meaningful ways. Although the continuous construction present on campus has become something of a running joke amongst its students, it's a sign that UConn is committed to turning your financial support into supporting the bright minds that will guide Connecticut in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Up next is Emily.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Emily Roots, and I'm a sophomore mechanical engineering student at the University of Connecticut. I am originally from Thomaston, Connecticut, which, for those of you who aren't familiar with Thomaston, has a population of about 8,000 people. That is over 4 times smaller than the population of UConn. Needless to say, it was a pretty big decision to go from a small town lifestyle to being part of a pretty large university. However, with that being said, I decided to come to UConn because I loved the campus and the opportunities, both engineering-wise and socially, but also because it made the most sense financially. I was the valedictorian of my high school class, which meant that when I graduated, UConn offered me the presidential scholarship. This scholarship guaranteed me 4 years of free tuition, and it was a big pull for me to come to UConn. I can honestly say that it was one of my deciding factors of me staying in state for college. Once I made my decision, I was very eager to start my new journey. Leaving my small town and moving to college was something that really excited me, but it also terrified me because I didn't know how I was going to find my place in a community that was much bigger than anything I had ever been a part of before. However, the doubts I had before seem almost silly now, because over the past 2 years, UConn has become my home away from home. Getting involved and using the programming at UConn was one of the ways that I was able to determine where I fit and what I wanted to do with my time here. Just to highlight a few of the programs I've been involved with over the past 2 years, I was a member of the UConn Marching Band, Disney Club, and my friends and I will have fun on the weekends by signing up for some of the events hosted by the Student Undergraduate Body of Governors, or SUBOG. Prior to moving to campus, I took part in the Bridge program, which is run by the Vergnano Institute for Inclusion, or VI. This is a diversity outreach center for underrepresented students in the field of engineering. The thought of having to do an academic-based summer program during my last summer before college started did not seem like a great idea at the time, but I can honestly say that I cannot express how impactful the decision to take part in the Bridge program was for my time at UConn. This program altered the path I thought I was going to take in college in the best way possible. I've been recommended for leadership opportunities in other organizations, found a job on campus that I thoroughly enjoy, made an extremely strong community of friends, and found confidence in myself and my capabilities that I would have had a hard time discovering on my own. I wanted to conclude by saying that being a female in the field of engineering, while it's getting better and companies and universities are becoming more diverse, it can be intimidating to speak up in a room full of people who have been seen as superior throughout history. UConn and VI specifically have given me a community of people who are in the same situation. My view of the world has changed for the better because of the time I've spent with the people in the UConn community. I've learned that I shouldn't have to feel afraid to speak up in a room full of men because I belong here just as much as anyone else. Well, I don't know if I will stay in Connecticut or end up somewhere completely different after college. I do know that with the experiences I've gained from VI and all the opportunities here at the University of Connecticut, I will be a better, more educated member of the company I work for and the community I choose to call home. Thank you for your time and your investment in UConn.
Thank you very much, Emily. Up next is panel 9, Christian, William, David, and Maya. Christian, you're up.
Good evening, members of the Appropriations Committee. My name is Christian Vallette, and I am a current communications major at Housatonic Community College. I have lived in Bridgeport for 14 years, and although I thought about going to other schools, the cost of attending a community college really helped me decide to go to Housatonic. It's an honor for me to appear before you guys tonight. I've already mentioned that Housatonic was affordable, but part of what has helped me to attend school are the benefits of my parents who have earned for me from their military service. My mother served as a Marine until she had me, and my father continued to serve as a Marine. I really appreciate their support and their service. When I graduated from high school, I really wanted to attend college, but I did not think I had the funds to attend college. I continued to work then, and even when I'm at Housatonic, I still work. When I first arrived on campus, I thought about majoring in computer science, but I realized my passion and my strengths fall in the communication area. I really enjoy my conversations with people, and I have a memory for remembering who different people are and what they have said to me. My goal is to graduate in 2024 and attend a four-year university. When I started, I was going to class physically, and it wasn't until a year later that we moved off campus. That was when our faculty and staff started to talking to us about a hybrid format. I like splitting my time with online classes, but now I'm back in the HCC buildings. The faculty, staff, and tutors really helped me through the college process and through the adversities from the college process. And I know that as long as I work hard and get the supports I need, I'm going to continue to be successful. I recently joined the Equity Project, a program that mentors students and pays attention to the stress that we may be feeling from our outside life of our academics. Faculty and staff leaders of the school plan activities that are helpful and fun. I really appreciate getting to know HEC's Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Smith, who I have many conversations with on campus. I am currently taking the math, creative writing, and public speaking class. Can you guess which is my favorite? The answer is public speaking, because of course I'm a communications major. I would like to say a couple of things about the consolidation to the one college model. On the pro side, I understand that if I wanted to take a class on another campus, it will be easier because I won't have to spend money on financial aid again. On the con side, I am wondering in the future how it will affect my degree. And although I understand community colleges have declining enrollments, I still want to make sure that you all financially support the thousands of students like me who attend community colleges all over Connecticut. Thank you for allowing me to use my voice tonight and for all the support you have given the college students all over Connecticut. I really appreciate you all giving the students an opportunity to speak tonight. Thank you, and you all have a wonderful night.
Thank you very much, Christian. Up next is William.
Hi, how are you? You can hear me, right?
We can hear you. Yes, sir.
Great. Good evening to Senator Osteen and Representative Walker. To those of you I am not familiar, it is an honor to be in front of you as well. My name is William Hearns from Naugatuck Valley Community College. I am currently a liberal arts and science major with the hopes of one day becoming a lawyer. It is a pleasure being here with you. On behalf of the entire community college student body, I must not dive into the reasoning we are here too deeply. We all know the community colleges need more funding. With about 72% of our student body on some form of financial aid, It shouldn't be too hard to realize that eventually we will be asking for help. If any of you have put gas into your car or had bought groceries in the past week, the cost has gone up substantially. As being a student in the Naugatuck Valley Community College system, it is evident that our student body is far from wealthy. We serve a community who struggles for money, with nearly 30% of our student body identifying as Latino. Most of my classmates are first-generation Americans doing what they know best. Here's what I do know. I'm a non-traditional student who is 29 years old. I pay for my tuition every single semester, and the tuition rates are going up again. I don't know what it's like choosing between feeding my family and getting an education, but I know for a fact some of my classmates do. Do you know what it's like to struggle each day, wondering where your next bite to eat will come from? I do. I grew up eating off of cardboard boxes without utensils to eat with. And if it were up to me, no one would have to live through such solemn circumstances. Being in the workforce for more than 10 years, a realization had hit me. The only way to progress was to get an education. Every single staff member in our institution not only supports my goals and dreams, but work their hardest to give me the resources that I need. Resources that cost money, time, and dedication. How naive it is to think that these things just won't run out. If you didn't know, the higher education system of Connecticut's community colleges is in desperate need. If the problems that we are facing are not tended to, the public's future is put at risk. This knowledge weighs on my mind every day, fearing the consequences of our future. This is all pending on the trust we have for the government to help secure the future of every attendant of our colleges. I am asking you on behalf of the entire student body, please help us secure our future. Please remember us when you decide to write your bill for the next fiscal year. Please fight for the future of our state, a future that will be willing to pay it forward to the next generation. Through education, we can build a stronger and better environment for those who follow in our footsteps. Have a good night, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, William. Up next is David.
Hi, members of the Appropriations Committee. My name is David Miller. I'm a sophomore at Nantucket Community College who's about to transfer to Quinnipiac University to pursue a major in biology with the goal of being accepted into medical school. I'm here today to relay the importance for higher education by sharing with you my dream of working in medicine. It couldn't be possible without Connecticut's community colleges. Growing up in West Springfield, Massachusetts, I lacked a focus and a drive that high school students preparing for college have. My family didn't have much, I didn't have much support from my family, as they have not been to college, nor did they know the process of applying to college. Being too naive or ignorant of the process of going to college, I enrolled at a local community college with the same lack of focus as I did in high school. During the brief window of being a college student, I obtained an amazing job. With this job came freedom, great benefits, great pay, and I've been there for the last 15 years. However, I feel unfulfilled as a 35-year-old. I always found medicine and science fascinating, and I knew how to be a great doctor. In the past year, my wife and I had a baby boy, and we knew this is the time I had to make the decision to go back to school to fix some of my educational mistakes from my teenage years and to be a positive role model for my son that I didn't have when I was young. Once I returned to school and enrolled at Nantucket Community College, I knew I made the right choice. With all the responsibilities of being a homeowner, a husband, a father, while working full-time and going to school full-time, the support I've had at Nantucket has been a huge influence on my success. The programs, the communities, the advisors have all been amazing resources to help me prepare for the next steps of my journey while giving me some amazing memories and connections along the way. Not many people get a second chance. I feel without community colleges and the proper funding, those second chances are even harder to achieve. With proper funding, programs such as campus daycare, mental and medical health support, and the food pantries can thrive and be a resource that can make those second chance into a success story. My community college has given me the support, the sense of community, and an education that allowed me to be everything I can for myself and for my family. Thank you for the opportunity to speak and for listening to why I believe our community colleges, funding our community colleges is important. Have a great night.
Thank you very much, David, and congratulations on your son.
Thank you.
Up next is Maya. Is Maya on? Number 37. Go on to panel number 10. Daniel, Bonnie, and Nina. Daniel, you're up.
Good afternoon, members of the committee. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Dan Matthew. I'm from Wolcott, Connecticut. I'm a 55-year-old veteran. After my service in the United States Navy, I returned to Connecticut, and for the last 32 years, I've been working in the human services field. Through my passion for helping people with developmental disabilities and a strong work ethic, I was able to rise up the ranks and make a comfortable career. I am also a father of 3 and have 3 grandchildren. As I said, I work for a nonprofit that provides residential services, and I also have a part-time job doing the same thing in a group home close to my home. However, despite all this, there's always something missing. I've had a lifelong dream of earning a bachelor's degree. There are many mornings I woke regretting not completing my degree, or many nights I stayed awake thinking about it, but it was always put on a back shelf, and it was a gray cloud I carried around with me. There were so many excuses not to do it. I didn't have the time, it took too long, I couldn't afford it. And there were a couple of times I did try to go, and for a semester I would last, and then all the excuses would come, and I would just quit and sulk about it. Then 3 years ago, December of 2018, I discovered Charter Oak. I was not sure what it was or what it was going to do for me, but I signed up. I knew nothing about online learning, but one of the first things that stood out to me was that I could receive college credits for my experiences in the Navy. I was able to convert classes I took in the Navy and the experiences I had for over 30 college credits. And as far as I know, Charter Oak is the only college that provides this service. I was so grateful for this flexibility. I was able to go get credits for classes I took in my past attempts also, which helped get closer to realizing my goal. It made college completion look possible. I am now in the middle of my last semester and I'm about to graduate in May. Charter Oak was a dream come true. Once I got used to online learning, I was able to complete all of my coursework despite working 2 jobs and having a very busy home life. The accelerated 8-week semesters enabled me to take 4 classes a semester, and I was able to obtain my dream of getting a bachelor's degree in organizational management and certificate in healthcare administration in just 3 short years. I wouldn't have been able to do this without Charter Oak State College. Their low tuition and generous transfer policy made going back to school possible. I'm here today to ask that you continue to fund Charter Oak State College. Their structure is unique and valuable to people like me who cannot take the traditional path to earning a degree. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Daniel, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Up next is Bonnie. Bonnie here. Oh, there you are, Bonnie. Go ahead.
Good evening, distinguished members of the Appropriations Committee. My name is Bonnie Wheeler, and I am a 49-year-old mother of 3 and a longtime resident of Torrington, Connecticut. I am currently in my senior year at Charter Oak State College and plan on graduating this May. Like many continuing education students, I didn't decide on what I wanted to study until later in life. My experiences as a mother and human service provider prepared me to seek a degree in the behavioral sciences. I began my college journey at Northwestern in Winsted and graduated as the class valedictorian in 2010 with the intention of continuing my education. Although I had struggled with chronic health conditions my entire life, I didn't know that I had a rare genetic disorder until my aorta dissected. That one event set off a long list of severe medical complications that have permanently changed my body. Suddenly, my college goals were put on hold, and my sole focus had to be surviving. In 2014, I was placed into hospice care and told by my doctors to make peace with the inevitable direction of my illness. Fortunately, with time, I did grow stronger, and I was able to prove my doctors wrong and graduate from hospice. However, with my new physical limitations came a challenge I wasn't sure how to manage. How would I safely return to college? I still have trouble walking, and my cognitive functions have made verbally communicating difficult sometimes. Due to aneurysms in my brain, I've recently developed a seizure disorder that has complicated my health further. But despite these issues, my dream of finishing my degree still remains. It's a dream that I didn't think was even going to be possible until I learned about Charter Oak State College. When I discovered that I could complete my degree through this wonderful school, a whole new world of opportunity opened up to me. Despite my physical and cognitive issues, the unique design of the online format and the support from the Office of Accessibility Services have helped me to become a happy, productive, and proud member of the Charter Oak family. Having access to wonderful professors and classes through Blackboard takes into consideration my unique accessibility concerns. It grants me the potential to develop marketable skills and provides a comprehensive education. Each of these factors will allow me to successfully contribute to the nonprofit sector, where it is my hope that I will work with the chronically ill after graduation. I want to be a Charter Oak success story, and I know that my fellow classmates feel the same way. Please continue to fund Charter Oak State College so that access to quality education can continue for the many men and women with similar challenges who have a great deal to offer our state. I know that this college has opened doors for me, and I would love to see other residents of Connecticut experience the same opportunity. Thank you for your time and the ability to share my personal story with you.
Well, Bonnie, I think you'll get whatever you want because you're clearly you've already proven it. So
thank you.
Up next is Nina. Nina, you are muted. There you go.
Good evening, representative senators and members of the committee. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak to you today. My name is Nina Menson. I am an immigrant born and raised in Poland, and I came to United States at the age of 18. I am currently in my second year at Charter Oak State College and pursuing a bachelor's degree in healthcare administration. Charter Oak State College has been instrumental in helping me achieve my dreams and career goals by offering an affordable education and fast route to earning a degree. The college hasn't raised their tuition in years, and that has helped me be able to afford school. They are also open-minded with using life skills and other ways of earning credits to prior learning. An example of this is how the college accepted my naturalization certificate to meet U.S. history requirements. I became a U.S. citizen in 2016 and had to study extensively about America, the Constitution, its history, and civics. Charter Oak allowed me to use that exam to satisfy my U.S. history class. They are very generous with my transfer credits too. This saved me a lot of stress, time, and money. Charter Oak is flexible that way. Another benefit of Charter Oak is their online format. The platform is really helpful to me as an adult learner. Many times getting a degree requires quitting your job because of the traditional in-class format. But Charter Oak is different. It is geared to accommodate working adults so you can attend on your time. If you are organized and self-disciplined, you can have a full-time job and still go to school at Charter Oak. I chose Charter Oak State College mainly because it costs less money and is flexible for people like me. I am here today to ask you to please continue your support of this school. Connecticut has a lot to offer, but it's an expensive state to live in. Charter Oak State College is a treasure. It is opening doors for me, and it can open doors for so many other working adults who aspire to do better and to give back to their community. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Nina. Appreciate it. I'm just double checking to make sure is Maya on? Maya? No? So now I'm going over to Representative Haddad, who will take care of the next hour or so of the committee meeting. Representative Haddad, thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Austin. And that gets us through the student panels, and that puts us about halfway through the list of speakers today. We're going to start with the public list now, and I just would ask that people, again, remember to keep their remarks to about 3 minutes so that we can get through the list and hear from everybody tonight. The next speaker is Catherine Williams, and she will be followed by Patty O'Neill. Catherine. Is Catherine here? Others saw her on the list, but if not, then why don't we go out to Patty O'Neill. Patty.
Good evening, members, and thank you for this opportunity to testify. My name is Patty O'Neill, and I'm president of the Connecticut State University American Association of University Professors, CSUAUP. We are the faculty union representing more than 3,000 full and part-time professors, coaches, counselors, and librarians at the 4 regional universities. The universities serve first-generation students, non-traditional students, traditional college-age students, and students whose first language is something other than English. We provide access to a first-class education that facilitates the economic upward mobility of our students. I've had students who were the first in their families to graduate from college and who are now pursuing graduate degrees. Over 80% of our students remain in Connecticut and contribute to the state. But we do more than just provide a path towards economic improvement, important as that is. We work to create lifelong learners, critical thinkers, and clear communicators who are willing to challenge their own assumptions and beliefs. The Connecticut State Universities, along with the other public institutions of higher education in Connecticut, are one of Connecticut's natural resources and should be supported accordingly. For too long, though, that has not been the case. And this year, the situation is more dire. You heard earlier today from Chief Financial Officer of the CSCU system, Ben Barnes, about some of the unique challenges confronting the CSCU system. The pandemic decimated enrollment and accordingly tuition and fee revenue. We have a once-in-a-decade 27th payroll to be covered. Add these factors to the reality that the block grants and fringe benefit support have not risen at the same rate as costs. And we have a serious problem that potentially imperils the missions of the universities. It has been said by many others that budgets are moral documents that reflect the priorities and values of those creating them. We've also been told for a decade at least to expect to do more with less. When faced with once-in-a-lifetime event like COVID, combined with changes in demographics, the failures in the approach of doing more with less become acute. The governor's recommended adjustments for CSCU will leave it with a huge deficit. In the past, deficits led to deep cuts in tuition increases. President Chang said earlier today that, quote, "We can't slash our way to success," quote. We also can't afford to treat our students as ATMs and rely on tuition increases, again, to solve financial difficulties, because that will backfire. I urge members of this committee to begin to treat public higher education in Connecticut as the natural resource it is, and to devise a budget that reflects that priority. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. We appreciate you taking your patience tonight. I'm going to call, the next person on the list is John O'Connor, followed by Lois Amy. I don't see either of them currently in the waiting room. And as a result, unless they appear soon, we'll move on to the next person, who is Francis Cohn.
Thank you, Representative. Distinguished senators and representatives, my name is Francis Cohn. I'm a professor of history at Tungus Community College, where I've worked for 31 years. CSU managers have requested funding significantly in excess of the amount included in the governor's proposed budget. I urge you to support this request. While the governor's budget includes federal relief monies and small increases in state funding, both welcome, it does not go nearly far enough to address the depth and breadth of the immediate and long-term needs of the system and the students and citizens it serves. At the community colleges where I work, our students are disproportionately working class or poor, young, and of color. They and their families suffered, and in many cases are still suffering, the brunt of the COVID-19 pandemic. Most come to us academically underprepared and facing a host of other challenges and obstacles. While they enter college disadvantaged, they are as deserving of an opportunity to succeed as their socioeconomically more fortunate peers. Attrition and restructuring, coupled with chronic underfunding, have eroded the quality of education and services our students receive. 3 out of 4 instructors at the community colleges are part-time, paid to teach but not to perform the myriad of other duties full-time faculty perform. Every student services office is understaffed and overworked. Our students, and especially our most vulnerable students, pay the price for this false economy. Education is labor intensive. Education is expensive. Education requires a large team of skilled, dedicated professionals who devote time and expertise to helping students. Besides full-time faculty to teach, advise, and mentor them, students need librarians and mental health counselors, financial aid, admissions, records, and marketing staff, information technology, and educational technology specialists, professional tutors, and personnel in writing and math labs. And these professionals must be available and accessible at every college. Helplines, websites, and managers in distant offices are of little or no value to our students. There is no way to provide quality education on the cheap. One gets what one pays for. In addition to investing in infrastructure, the state of Connecticut needs to reinvest in its citizens, especially its poorer citizens, and provide opportunities for all of them to achieve their version of the American dream. For most, a robust, rigorous, and sound college education, not a third-rate facsimile of that, is a necessary prerequisite to achieving that dream. Austerity is not a student retention tool. Funding is. Budget cuts do not promote student success. Funding does. Managers, a necessary evil, do not educate students. Faculty and staff do. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Cohn. I appreciate your patience as well. The next few names on the list that I have, I don't see them in the waiting room yet, are Carolyn Mador, number 46, Ibrahim Eglali, number 47, and Lindsay Mallet, who's number 48. And so that brings us to number 49, Greg Criar.
Thank you, Representative Greg Haddad. I appreciate it. Senator Olson, Representative Tony Walker, I appreciate the great work you guys do with the appropriations. I did have a full script here, but I think I'd prefer to go off script a little bit. Connecticut residents initially paid no tuition for the state universities, Southern, Central, Eastern, Western. Even books and special apparatus were free as long as students taught and graduating. In 1933, students began to pay for their education $20 annually, which the Connecticut Board of Education waived to the top percent. The average tuition and fees at the nation's private colleges in Connecticut is close to $40,000, according to the College Board. And earning a degree often costs even more in Connecticut. In 2018-19 academic year, tuition and fees for Connecticut State College, Fairfield, Quinnipiac, Sacred Heart, Trinity, and Wesleyan range from anywhere, this is 18, from 42,000 to close to 60. In contrast, Southern, Central, Eastern, Western, somewhere just shy of $11,000. So for those state reps that are listening, you graduated somewhere in the 70s, anywhere between 1978 and 1979, your tuition was $678. Think about that. $678. You could go work in a summer and pay your tuition. In 1998, 99, it was $3,664. Again, it's viable. And today, in 2021, 22, it's $11,882 tuition and fees. Now that might seem obtainable when you look at the cost of private colleges, but when you look at the demographics of our students, we're 1/3 of our students, 1/3 as incoming new students, freshmen, they have to take care of a parent, grandparent, child, sibling, or a relative member. 1/3 of our students also as incoming freshmen have to work between 10 and 15 hours a week. The demographics of our students are drastically different than the privates and even UConn. UConn is drastically different. So thinking about how 93% of our students stay, work, and live in Connecticut, we need the Appropriations Committee to start looking at a different funding model for the 4 universities, Southern, Central, Eastern, Western, and the community colleges. We have the due diligence. You must absolutely look at us through a different lens. If you just Google search quickly, what percentage of Connecticut residents get into UConn? It's single digits, right? Single digits. And I don't want to beat UConn down. We love UConn, every aspect of UConn. But when you look at our funding models of how that is, and I know there's a lot of legislators that are turning right now saying, I love UConn. I do too. We need UConn. But what we need is the appropriations to give us in the Connecticut State University College system a bigger piece of the pie, not for us, but for the residents of Connecticut when looking at our demographics. With that, I appreciate your time and the work you do. I will follow up. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for your testimony. You were number 49. I'm looking for number 50, George Webb. I don't see him online, and so we'll go to Cynthia Stretch. You have the floor, Cynthia.
Hi, thank you, Representative Walker, Senator Austin, Representative Haddad, and members of the committee for taking time for this public hearing. My name is Cynthia Stretch. I am finishing my 23rd year as a professor of English at Southern Connecticut State and a proud member of CSU AUP, my faculty union. This is not the first time that I have testified before the Appropriations Committee on behalf of CSU AUP and on behalf of my students at Southern, asking that the budget allocations for Connecticut State Universities be increased, or more often that the proposed cuts to the allocations be decreased in order to keep tuition in check and keep our institutions accessible. But I have never testified twice in one day until now. I testified earlier this afternoon at the Higher Education and Employment Advancement Committee hearing in support of HB 5136, an act addressing the needs of housing insecure students. Over the last weeks, my colleagues have also testified in support of bills that would alleviate hunger, increase mental health supports, and provide healthcare for part-time faculty at the state universities. Together, these bills and others create a chilling but accurate image of who our students are at the Connecticut State Universities in 2022. As always, they are working class and poor students who are working harder than they should have to in hopes of pulling themselves into the increasingly elusive middle class with a university degree. And now, with their middle class classmates, they are all struggling to keep it together academically and psychologically after 2 years of pandemic-induced stress, where their work and school and family family lives have been disrupted with health scares, economic crises, social isolation, and grief. All of my students at Southern, from first years to graduate students, are counting on their CSU education to help them build a future. The vast majority of them are from Connecticut and want to build those futures here, close to family and friends. Their creativity, intellect, and work ethic are the qualities that Connecticut needs to establish and maintain a vibrant culture and robust economy. But if the state universities funding can't weather the next few years of post-pandemic recovery, and if tuition goes up, many of our already beleaguered students will not return to finish their degrees, and their siblings and their cousins won't enroll at all, thus exacerbating the enrollment decline and the projected deficits that our system administrators pointed out earlier today. Those students and their families live in your district. Senator Austin, there are about 667 Connecticut State University students in your district. Representative Walker, there are about 946 in yours. Representative Haddad, 130. Representative Hall, 233. Representative Philippe, 643. Representative Belinsky, 294. And Senator Anwar, 869. If you were to add the community college students to those totals, the numbers would balloon. Now, those numbers are not precise because they're based on enrollments by town, but I hope they give you a sense of what's at stake for the family in your communities, in your own neighborhoods. My colleagues on the faculty and staff at Southern and the other CSUs have been providing our students with terrific university educations, even in the face of the hardships of the last 2 years. You heard several of them this evening. They need us now more than ever. Please keep their stories in mind as you do the important work of this committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. I understand that George Webb, number 50, I'm not sure if I don't see him in the waiting room. Just want to call his name to see if he is here.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, great. Mr. Webb, go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much. Currently in traffic downtown. It's a madhouse right now.
Sorry.
It's all good. I'm in agreement with all of my comrades tonight on how they feel. I do believe that education should be poured more into. I believe that professors should definitely have an increase in pay. All teachers across the world should have an increase in pay. However, I'm not in agreement with raising tuition. Many students are non-traditional students. They have to work. They have, they're married, they have children. Many of them work more than one job. And if you if you increase the tuition, many of them stand a chance of possibly being discouraged. And like one educator already said, this pandemic has been very rough. Many students have went through depression. They have contemplated many different things in their mind. And for some people, academia is a gateway to escape the horrible terrors that they think in their mind. But if the state increases tuition, I'm not sure what happens to those people. And I know that it's more than it's in more hands, than just you all's hands tonight. But I want you all to really consider not increasing tuition. The other thing to consider is books. Some of these books are outrageous. To rent a book at times, depending on the class, is $238. The books are more expensive than the class sometimes. All of this is out of whack. And Terrence Chang is right. You can't slash your way through this. But it definitely appears that we're trying to slash our way through this. I had a 4.0 last semester. I applied for all types of scholarships. I didn't get a dime. Not only did I get a dime, I didn't get a dirty dime, not even a muddy dime. I didn't get anything. That made me feel very bad as a student that's working. that has other responsibilities and works multiple jobs to try to make ends meet in a very expensive state. And I didn't get nothing with a 4.0. So yeah, the education system is broken. Something does need to be done, but raising tuition is not it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. I appreciate your perspective. I'm going to call next on John McNamara. After that, I'm going to go back to someone who was previously passed over. That would be John O'Connor. And following him, I'll call on Joseph Salveggio. So John McNamara, go ahead.
Thank you, Representative Haddad. I hope you can hear me.
You can.
Okay, and members of the Appropriations Committee. I'm John McNamara, member of the Congress of Connecticut Community Colleges, 4Cs. I worked for 22 years until this month at Capital Community College as the Grants and Development Officer. Appreciate the opportunity to urge the committee to increase appropriations for the community college system, so long as those funds are earmarked for the campuses and to ensure services are not reduced because of consolidation costs. I believe the legislature is working on making those dollars more transparent. At least I hope the legislature is, to ensure funds you appropriate go directly to student-facing services. I think it's positive the governor has included $64 million for state colleges and universities with continuing tuition help to deal with pandemic hardships that was done last year. I think it's also positive the state actually used new funds to up appropriations for two-year colleges in 2021, I believe. But this followed years of rescissions and austerity that have fallen on community colleges more than other units of higher education, public higher education. The block grant proposing $158,500,000 or so does not address the situation on the ground right now. There's serious understaffing of direct student services. There are fewer and fewer full-time faculty. And the elimination of local resources and personnel needed for enrollment, which is a critical issue, and outreach, those resources are being reduced. I'm told that Capital Community College's deficit, for example, is upwards of $7 million, one institution, because of pandemic-related enrollment drops, and unfortunately, I think because current budget allocations are being made for a one-college bureaucracy and the Connecticut State Community College, the one college that is supposed to take effect in 2023. I believe this week the Board of Regents moved to increase tuition in the coming year. Now, a $224 increase may not seem like much, but from my experience, it can be a deal breaker for many part-time students, who I think some of you may have heard from today, that don't get the federal or institutional aid, and they're balancing their work, their families, and their study to get ahead, to become nurses, to become EMTs, to fill jobs that the state and the region needs. I think at this point in your short session, the legislature should at the very least provide for funds that would freeze tuition and fees as we slowly recover from the pandemic. And with that in mind, I'll put in a plug for HB 5049, Representative Turco, Senator Winfield, that would restore funds and provide $62 million for the Roberta Willis Scholarship Fund that has served many financially disadvantaged part-time and full-time students at community colleges and elsewhere when it has been fully funded and directly impacts community college students. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Mr. McNamara. With that, we'll go directly to John O'Connor.
Hello, Representative Haddad, co-chairs Representative Walker and Senator Olson, and all members of the Appropriations Committee. My name is John O'Connor, and I teach in the Sociology Department at Central Connecticut State University in New Britain, and I'm an active member of CSU AUP. I've been teaching at Central for about 18 years. Teaching at Central is a joy. The students are engaged and eager to learn. They are racially and ethnically diverse, and many of them are the first in their families to attend college or a university. I understand that this committee has had a long day and it has a difficult job. CSCU President Chang and CFO Ben Barnes appeared before you this AM. The CSCU leadership asked this committee for $268 million to address the impact of system deficits linked to enrollment decline and the loss of tuition revenue. CSU AAUP has not agreed with Woodland Street leadership very much in the last year. In fact, it's very difficult to agree with them on anything. However, CSU AAUP agrees that the regional state universities and our community college system needs to be put on a firm financial footing. It needs help, extra help in recovering from the pandemic. I understand the members of this committee will ask where these deficits are coming from. And while the CSCU leadership likes to point toward labor costs, fringe, and all the rest, the fact of the matter is that public sector workers in Connecticut have sacrificed a great deal for this state. And we cannot forget, this committee cannot forget that really what's at stake here is the education of students. Irrespective of whether my students come from West Hartford or East Hartford, they deserve to have the best faculty members they can in front of them on the other side of the desk. I just want to remind you in a friendly way that the decisions that you make have real consequences. At my time at CCSU, I've had many students who did not have the resources to complete their education. The state regional universities and the community colleges are the best bargain that students in Connecticut can find. It's important that we don't price them out of a university or college education. And it's also important that that education that they receive be the best that it can possibly be. I could tell you a whole bunch of stories of students with names like Coswell, Rodriguez, a whole bunch of students who've been priced out of a university education. They've been white, they've been black, and they've been brown. What has happened to those students is horrific. Public higher education has become so expensive that they have been excluded and shut out. They had the drive, the intelligence, and the talent to succeed. They just didn't have the money. Shame on all of us. The decisions that this committee makes, the allocation of funds for public higher education impacts the lives of all sorts of people. This committee can open doors and this committee can close doors. I would just ask that you keep those doors open. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. We appreciate your testimony. Next up will be Joseph Salveggio. Unless I see some additional folks enter the waiting room, we're going to go to Althea Lovelace, followed by Trenton Wright, followed by Douglas Dorsey. So I don't see any of those folks. So Sally Terrell, you should prepare yourself to be called on more quickly. Joseph. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to address the committee. My name is Joe Salvaggio from Westbrook, Connecticut. I'm the department chair and a professor of English at Three Rivers Community College in Norwich, the best community college in Connecticut. I appreciate the responsibility each of you have for the stewardship and funding of higher education in our state. And while I work at a community colleges and public higher education means so much more to me than a job. You see, I'm a second-generation college graduate. I grew up in New Jersey. Perhaps like you and many of our students, I came from a blue-collar working-class family. My mom was in her early 30s when she decided to go to college to pursue her childhood dream of becoming an anthropologist and archaeologist. She enrolled in a local community college after having been out of school for more than 10 years. In the early 1980s, as a wife, a mother of 3 young children from a low-income working-class family, and a woman striving to enter a field dominated by men, my mom was the very definition of a non-traditional student. She worked at a small construction company part-time, and my dad worked overtime shifts to help pay for her classes. At community college, she met faculty that challenged and mentored her, and I'll never forget the kindness of her professors who allowed her to bring her young son to class when she didn't have childcare, like many of our students often find themselves. She eventually graduated from that community college. She went on to Rutgers, where she, through hard work and perseverance, earned her bachelor's, her master's, and ultimately her PhD in anthropology and archaeology. She was hired by Southern Connecticut State University, where she helped establish the Department of Anthropology. She ran a field school in Tanzania for many summers, and she mentored and inspired many students just like herself. The opportunity to do these things began with public higher education. Today, when I work with my students at Three Rivers Community College, I see my mother, I see my brother, I see my sister, I see my wife, I see myself. Public colleges, particularly community colleges, changed my family tree. This was made possible because of affordable tuition, grants, and scholarships. Public colleges are spaces of opportunity, opportunity to become more than we are today, opportunity to become more than what societies say we can be. This is made possible by giving students the services and financial supports they need to succeed. I ask you to give our students these opportunities and help to change the family trees of future generations by fully funding higher education that goes directly to our students and directly to those colleges that serve them. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate your testimony. I don't, Mr. Salvatore, you were number 54. I don't see any other folks in the 50s until we get to Sally Terrell. I'm going to ask you to go next, and then we're going to go back to somebody who was passed over earlier. That would be Ibrahim Alali. After Ibrahim, we will move to Margaret. Ms. Terrell, you have the floor.
Thank you, Representative Haddad, and to the leaders and members of the Appropriations Committee. My name is Sally Terrell. I'm from Collinsville, Connecticut, and for 32 years I've taught English in the community college system. I was at Norwalk Community College for my first tenure track job, and then at Tunxis Community College, where I've spent the rest of my time. I have to disagree with my good friend and colleague Joe that Tunxis is in fact the best community college, but you see, we all feel this way because we have such great local pride in the work that we do. I'm the former president of the Connecticut Coalition of English Teachers, which is a really guides curriculum and assessment in the system, and we did so for many years. I was very active in our, and still am, in our campus center for teaching. And I'm a proud former chair, and more recently re-stepped up as chair for our 4Cs chapter. And because I'm retiring this July, I've stepped down from that role. But I guess my point is just that I've seen a lot, and it's hard to add to all the excellent testimony that's already been given by my esteemed colleagues and by the amazing students that we work with. So I'm just going to get to the points that I think are most salient and that speak to, frankly, a despair that I have. And it's hard for me to go to despair because I'm one of those professors that just brings everyone along for the ride. There's a lot of enthusiasm for my work. I still love my students. I will still teach after I step down just because I love the classroom and I love what my students teach me as much as I have the pleasure of working with them. In the time that I've been here, I've become confused, and as I said, I've become a little despairing, primarily because the vehicle for economic advancement in our state, access to an affordable quality higher education, is being threatened. And yes, it's due to disinvestment. We've all seen block grants go down over the decades. It's a national trend. We know this. But in our state, it has been the steady diversion of our resources to a system office that has lacked transparency and lacked accountability. Like many senior faculty who were initially asked to be part of the consolidation project, 6 years ago, I was called on as one of the campus leaders to go in for English and to discuss the changes that the new sort of consolidation committee wanted to bring to fruition. And suffice it to say that over these years, we've seen disturbing eliminations of developmental programs, of supports for students, where now everyone will come in just testing into composition, and we will have a greater diversity of need than we've ever seen in the classroom. So that's just one example of how we're not being heard, how the allocation of resources has been without accountability, and it has been going to management positions. So there's an attempt to apply an inappropriate business model to higher education in our state. So in addition to what John McNamara, Fran Cohn, and all these other people who've gone before me have said, I would just say that while I do support the BOR's request for additional funding for our system, these resources are being disproportionately used by them to create a management structure for their consolidation plan. Meanwhile, layoffs loom. We have 2 areas under shared services that are being threatened with layoffs. Our student-facing offices are understaffed or not staffed at all. We have a front-facing position in our faculty area that is without resources, despite our local managers' valiant attempts to try to keep everything above water. We have students walking around without the proper sort of student-facing roles. So the 5% tuition increase that the BOR has proposed shifts the burden of education to those with the fewest resources. We really urge you not to allow that tuition hike to happen. And my request is simple, that please do just approve the increased allocation request, but please reclaim oversight of the system office. They have stopped hearing us. They are acting without oversight and without sufficient consideration of the resource needs on local campuses. We need you to help us serve our students. And I guess I would just end by saying, we know that we have our legislative breakfasts and we love that you come to those. And I just want to issue a personal invitation. You can reach me at my Tunxus email, and this is my last full-time semester. I have 2 great classes, one in Shakespeare, one in communication, and I have another set of 7-weekers coming up after that. Come on over anytime and give me some advance notice and come see us, because then you get to see how amazing this work is in action and how amazing our students are. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Ms. Terrell was number 58 on the list. Just to be clear, 59 is Sonia Huber, 60 is Daniel St. Laurent, 61 is Jennifer Widness, 62 is Margaret Malaspina. I only see one of those 4 people in the waiting room. If I just called your name and you're listening, you should hop on soon. I'm going to ask you to wait just 1 minute, Ms. Malaspina, because I'm going to go back to someone we skipped over earlier, and that would be Ibrahim Alali. If you're ready, then we'll listen to your testimony, and after that, we'll go back to that list I just mentioned.
Hello, Representative Haddad and members of the committee. In fact, I am number 52, Yon Moraru, but for some reason, the link has not reached my email, and number 47, Ibrahim, is actually on call in the hospital, so the only way either of us could put the testimony was for me to use his login to join. So my name is Yon Moraru, and I am the Vice President of the Faculty Union at UConn Health, and I have been a faculty at UConn Health since 1994, and I'm a professor in the Department of Cell Biology. My testimony is focusing on the issues generated by the low salaries and non-competitive salaries of staff and the very high fringe rates due to the unfunded liability that are charged to our research grants. And I will give one concrete example. I am the co-director of a 6-year federally funded grant for a national resource that's multi-institutional between University of Washington, Mount Sinai School of Medicine, and UConn Health. And as part of that resource, there was one position on a joint project between Mount Sinai and UConn Health that was supposed to be hired through UConn Health, but because the overall cost given by the fringe rates, it was so big differential, we could not fit the statutory cap of the grant. And at Mount Sinai, the fringe is what it used to be at UConn Health in the 20%. The negotiated federal fringe rates, it was 69 at UConn Health. So one highly skilled STEM position was lost to the state for 6 years, funded from federal grants, was lost for the state of Connecticut to the state of New York, and for UConn Health to Mount Sinai School of Medicine, and at the total funding available of $1.4 million. If we would have had the fringe rate covered by the state covering the unfunded liability part, both the retiree health and the retiree health care, it would have cost over the same period the state $169,000. So one concrete example what the return of investment is in generating jobs, generating revenue, and research dollars because of this issue. So I would like to end my testimony by adding that the problem is also compounded by non-competitive salaries for staffing, because all the contracts have been delayed and there were increments and raises that were missed. And I have several open positions that I'm unable to fill because all qualified candidates, and these are positions again funded by federal dollars, all qualified candidates that we have interviewed and offered the position have declined because of non-competitive salaries. So I would like the legislature to support funding competitive salaries through the CBAC agreement and using block grant money to do so. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony and for your resourcefulness, I guess, in making sure that you appeared before the committee. Knew you fellows over there at the Health Center were pretty smart, so glad you figured it out. I'm going to call again the name in order on the list. Sonia Huber, I do not see in the waiting room right now, but I do see Danielle St. Laurent, who will go next, followed by Jennifer Witness if she arrives, followed by Margaret Malaspina once we get to that point in the list. Ms. St. Laurent, it's your opportunity.
I'm Danielle St. Laurent. I'm a student at Tungus Community College. I feel like we should keep the tuition price where it is. I do have a brother who is currently paying for college. I feel, at least from my experience, that we should put more towards that money to be saved for students who may not be able to afford as much with a higher tuition rate. Personally, I'm not really paying for college. I do the PACT, but it really would benefit my brother very much. And he is also a college student at CCSU. I really do not want this tuition raise because it can definitely impact a lot of students in many different age ranges and minority groups and so on. I just feel that we should most likely keep it at least the same or lower to provide for more of the other students who would like to go to community college and other colleges in the state.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your testimony and thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
So next up on the list is Jennifer Witness, who I do not think is here yet. Hopefully she will arrive at some point followed by Margaret Malaspina. She'll be followed by Melissa Amaro, who I see is here. The next few names on the list after Ms. Amaro would be Hannah Fowler, Laura Haynes, and Michael Bailey. And so hopefully they'll arrive in time to deliver their testimony. So next up is Ms. Malaspina.
Good evening, Appropriations Committee members. My name is Margaret Malaspina. I'm the Director of Financial Aid at Capital Community College, where I've served students for the past 22 years, along with my colleague, John McNamara. I've come to you tonight to express my support to the Board of Regents' request for $268 million. The increased funding is critical to ensure high-quality services and education to our students. Earlier this evening, we heard from students who are currently attending or previously attended community colleges. They shared personal experiences and benefits they received by doing so. Like them, others come to community colleges seeking the education, support, and services that will help them achieve their dreams and goals. Without additional funding, it will be difficult to do so. In addition, with the transition to the one college model, the Board of Regents is threatening layoffs to student-facing community college employees. I am one of those individuals, as are all of my colleagues in the financial aid field and other colleagues in the community college system. We are seeking fair and equitable consideration to keep our jobs while supporting our students. Additional funding should make it possible to meet these needs and avoid layoffs. Thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank you very much for your testimony and for your conciseness. Next up is Melissa Amaro, I see is here. Melissa Amaro will be followed by Hannah Fowler, Laura Haynes, and Michael Bailey. Should I see them arrive in the book? But for now, Melissa Amaro.
Are you guys able to hear me?
Yes.
All right. I'm Melissa Amaro. I am from Colchester, Connecticut. I am a psychology major at Mitchell College, and I actually plan on getting my master's to become a school psychologist. I am submitting testimony today in support of additional funding for the Roberta Willis Scholarship Program. I chose to attend Mitchell College because it was a liberal arts school and was a perfect fit for me as a student, and it felt like home to me, and the environment is extremely supportive, engaging, and diverse. My experience at Mitchell College has been a special one. Everyone there has been very encouraging, and I would also like to thank Kelby Chappelle, who made it possible for me to attend Mitchell College, especially as a first generation in my family. And I just hope to continue that legacy, and I can hope that my brothers will fulfill the same thing to get continue their degree. This scholarship was a significant support to not only myself, but students like me that are from a low-income household, students like me who are on a path toward college completion, and to give us the chance to build a financially sustainable and fulfilling future. So please increase funding for need-based funding and the Roberta Willis Scholarship Program to ensure that students like myself have the opportunity to enroll in the institution that is best fit for them in state.
Thank you very much for your testimony. We appreciate that. I think what's happening is that we're making good time, and as a result, not sure if folks are signing in to deliver testimony as early as we're arriving at their names on the list. That's going to benefit some people. I see some folks who've arrived pretty late in the list, so we're gonna call on you. But I will say that we're right now in the 60s on the list. I had mentioned a few names as well: Fowler, Haynes, Bailey. I'll mention a couple more: Wood, Lindsay, Roy, and Didado. That gets us through about the 70s. But since I don't see many of those names in the list, I'm going to call the lowest numbers I see. See, now I see 278, so I'm not sure which one to call, but I'll say Jamie Sislav. I'm going to hack this name. I apologize. Jamie, if you want to unmute yourself and tell me how to say your last name.
Hi, yeah, it's Shakusky.
Okay, thank you very much.
The reason why there are two Jamie Shakuskys here, that's Jackie. We're both students at Tunxis Community College, and she was unable to get the link. Something got messed up, so I was wondering if she could also make a testimony after I make mine.
Well, why don't you go ahead? I actually don't see Jackie anywhere on the list, but we'll see if we have some free time. Why don't you go ahead?
Okay, all right. Cool. Sorry, my cat is okay.
Moving into your 3 minutes.
Thank you, Senator Austin, Representative Haddad, and members of the Appropriations Committee for the opportunity to address you today. My name is Jamie Shakusky. I am a resident of Hartland, Connecticut, and a student at Tunxis Community College in Farmington, Connecticut. There have been severe misallocations of funding by the Board of Regents for Tunxis and the other 11 community colleges. When President Chang announced at the Student Advisory Committee meeting on February 11th that tuition was going to be increased by over $200, he said the reason for this was because of the, quote, system financial challenges and the, quote, consistently declining enrollment since 2010. He also said that despite this decrease in tuition revenue, they have, quote, maintained the same level of faculty and staff and other sunken costs since 2010, which is factually untrue. And I wouldn't go so far as to say as faculty and staff being sunken costs. There's been a 30% faculty and staff decrease since 2016, just as the student race demographic has become majority Black and Brown students. The lie that President Chang and the Board of Regents are pushing about racial equity sounds like, quote, this is a direct quote from President Chang, the central aim of CT State is to address systemic inequities, both between students of different socioeconomic backgrounds and between institutions. To say that the system financial challenges are due to the consistent decline in enrollment is not true. Money is there. It's just spent hiring administrators and managers with six-figure salaries. Not to mention, over $10 million has already been spent on the consolidation transition when the BOR initially said the transition was not going to cost anything. And to say that despite the increase in student enrollment, the BOR has kept on nearly half of its faculty and staff is untrue. This lie of equity is imposed on Black and Brown students paying more money per semester for fewer faculty and staff resources. In closing, I am strongly against the tuition increase because of the reasons I have just spoken about. Students are not responsible for the financial mismanagement of the BOR and higher offices. Thank you for your support of public higher education in Connecticut, and thank you for hearing me today.
Thank you very much for your testimony. And I'll just say, unfortunately, Jacqueline, we're not going to be able to accept a testimony from you tonight because of the rules that we set up for public hearings requiring people to sign up a day in advance. We don't have your name on our list. I will say that any written testimony that you provide, I know will be read by members of the committee, but unfortunately, we won't be able to take your testimony tonight according to the rules that we've established for these public hearings. As a result, I'm going to look for other names. The next person I guess I'm going to call is number 80, Asian Glenn. I'm not sure I pronounced your first name correctly, but if you could correct me on that, then we'll go from there.
Hi, thank you for letting me be here. My name is Ajane. I'm from New Haven, Connecticut, and I'm a criminal justice major at Mitchell College. I'm submitting testimony today in support for additional funding for the Roberta Willis Scholarship Program. I chose to attend Mitchell College because it's a small school and I could see how easily people connected with each other. The small class sizes and the professors, they really gave you a welcoming experience. My experience at Mitchell so far has been more than expected. I've made many relationships and have close relationships with faculty and staff. I'm part of clubs that I helped create for diversity. I'm also a part of committees with the board about diversity and mentorships for other students. I'm glad I picked this school because it's preparing me for a great transition to the outside field in the world. Financial aid such as the Roberta B. Willis Scholarship Grant has been incredibly important to me because I come from a one-parent household in a underprivileged community. So those scholarships really allow me to be here. I'm in college to improve those communities and give back to the people who have helped me grow into the person I am today. When I graduate, I intend to get my master's and work in the criminal justice field, working towards justice in any way I can. I just wanted to ask you to please increase funding for need-based funding in the Roberta Willis Scholarship and to ensure students like myself have the opportunity to enroll in the institution that is best fit for them.
Thank you very much for your testimony. We appreciate your perspective. I'm about to call on Liz Sushinsky, but I wanted to just reiterate that where I think that most people would have predicted we'd be on the list is closer to the 60s on the list. But let me also just mention a couple of other names of folks who, if they sign in and log on, we're ready to take testimony from, and that would be Fatima Yunus, Elizabeth Strickland, Mary Ellen Junda, Christine Japley, Seth Freeman. I see at least one or two of those folks in the waiting room. We'll be calling on you soon. But first we'll go to Liz. Liz, do you want to provide us with your testimony?
Yes. Thank you, distinguished members of the Appropriations Committee, for the opportunity to address you today. My name is Elizabeth Kuczynski. I'm a resident of New Britain, Connecticut, and I am currently a sophomore and psychology major at Tunxus Community College. I will graduate this year and have been accepted to attend Central Connecticut State University full-time in the fall. In addition to my studies, I remain active on campus as the vice president of the Tunxus Healthy Minds Club, where we focus on creating a welcoming and positive space for students to speak about, advocate for, and explore mental health. I'm speaking today to express my strong support for ensuring our community college system is sufficiently funded so we can serve our students and communities. I support the Board of Regents' request for additional funding for our community college system. Increasing funding to the community colleges is important to me because many students, such as myself, struggle to afford their education. I'm a first-generation student who has lived in a low-income family for most of my life. The financial expectations of attending college were well out of reach due to my parents' financial situation. When I graduated from New Britain High School in 2007, I was responsible for paying for my education on my own. This was near impossible to do on a part-time salary. I was able to make it through one full year using scholarships and some financial aid before the financial burden became too much. For this reason, I put off my education for almost 13 years. I worked entry-level positions for years until I found a job that would help support and accommodate my education. I currently work third shift full-time for Wheeler Clinic in order to afford my education. Unlike many of my peers, I am fortunate enough to receive tuition reimbursement through my employer. However, the reimbursement only covers a small portion of my tuition, and I am responsible for paying the upfront costs and struggle to make tuition payments each semester. In the recent Board of Regents Finance meeting, the BOR Finance Committee proposed a 5% tuition increase for students. I strongly disagree with the increased tuition. Increasing tuition will hurt us because many community college students, such as myself, are students with responsibilities that stretch far beyond their education. Many have families, children, financial expectations, and jobs that require much of our time and energy. The potential of a tuition increase is a disservice to students who are in positions such as mine. Money should not be a hurdle that prevents anyone from receiving an education, and no student should have to make a choice between paying rent, putting food on the table, and achieving their educational goals, which is an unfortunate reality for many. We may live in one of the wealthiest states in the nation, but the reality is that the majority of the public college students do not fall within that demographic. My hope is that public higher education will be made a priority and that funds will be appropriated in a way that prevents the tuition increase, making education an accessible goal for all. Thank you again for your support of public higher education in Connecticut. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. We appreciate you sharing your experience with us. Next up, I'm going to call Seth Freeman. Seth is number 76. Unless I see additional folks sign in, I'm going to call on Marie Coppola. She is number 82. The other names that we have on the list who are in the 80s are Tyra Clark, Umesh Big, Julissa Feliciano, and Elle Vandemark. But at this point, I would say, I'm almost hesitant to say this because I don't want there to be, I can't imagine there's going to be a flood, but we're reaching the end of the list. And so it's last call for many of the names that we passed over. I'm going to let Mr. Freeman go, and then I'll go through and read those names again. But we are rapidly running out of testimony. And so unless folks sign in with the clerks soon, we may reach the end of the hearing before we reach before people sign in. So now's the time to sort of sign in. Seth Freeman.
Thank you, Representative Haddad, Senator Austin, and members of the Appropriations Committee. My name is Seth Freeman. I am president of the Congress of Connecticut Community Colleges, 4Cs. 4Cs represents faculty and staff across our community colleges and part-time faculty at University of Hartford. I'm a professor at Capital Community College, a native of Hartford, and a resident of West Hartford. I'm speaking to express our union's strong support for ensuring our community college system is sufficiently funded so we can serve our students and communities. We have seen services in our colleges decline in recent years due to understaffing and insufficient resources. We have seen key departments in our colleges understaffed, such as admissions, marketing, financial aid, high school transitions, and student activities. Understaffing in each of these areas directly hurts both enrollment and retention. In the recent Board of Regents Finance meeting, the Finance Committee proposed a 5% tuition increase. Our union strongly disagrees with increasing tuition. We disagree because so many of our students are already struggling. Increasing tuition continues to shift the burden of education to those in our communities with the least resources. It is worth remembering that we live in one of the richest states and one of the richest countries in the world. Yet hundreds of thousands of residents, roughly 10% in our state, live below the poverty line. Our state, despite our vast wealth, has one of the largest ratios of income inequality in the country. Our state should be a leader in eliminating the racial wealth and income divide, but doing so would require bold investments in underserved communities and policies that prioritize the poor and working class in our state. Bold investments are not happening in our public higher education system. Rather, chronic underfunding has been the norm. Chronic underfunding and enrollment declines led the Board of Regents to their misguided decision to merge our community colleges. This merger has not resulted in savings. Rather, the merger has ballooned the number and salaries of managers. These management positions are completely redundant, wasteful, and they are siphoning resources away from our community college campuses. Now the Board of Regents is threatening to lay off student-facing employees. This is reprehensible and disgusting, and our state should be ashamed of this. Laying off staff who will directly serve our students will only further the understaffing of our community colleges. This understaffing, along with the complete demoralization and disenfranchisement of community college employees, will only continue to hurt our community college students. Our higher education system needs more resources so we can fulfill our mission of providing pathways to higher education, gainful employment, and life-changing knowledge and skills to the residents of Connecticut. In public higher education, as in all public services, our state needs to commit to do more for our marginalized, underserved, working class and poor communities, not less. Thank you very much, representatives and senators, for your commitment to public higher education in our state.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. We appreciate your testimony. I am going to call on, again, there's the folks who are in our waiting area and who are ready to testify are Marie Coppola, but other names in the 80s include Kyra Clark, Umesh Big, Julissa Feliciano, and Elle Vandermark, who I know is waiting. I'm going to go back to the beginning of the list and just say, I think since I only have two remaining folks in the waiting room, just to do last call for Catherine Williams, who is number 41, number 44, Lois Amy, number 46, Carolyn Mador, number 48, Lindsay Mallet, number 55, Althea Lovelace Burnett, number 56, Trenton Wright, number 57, Douglas Dorsey, number 59, Sonia Huber, number 61, Jennifer Widness, number 64, Hannah Fowler, number 65, Laura Haynes, number 66, Michael Bailey, number 67, Nicole Wood, number 68, Edward Lindsay, number 69, Jordan Roy, number 71, Jamie D. Dado, number 72, Fatima Yunus, number 73, Elizabeth Strickland, number 74, Mary Ellen Junda, number 75, Christine Japley, number 77, Connor Perot, number 79, thanks, Jackson. Those are the remaining folks. If you're within hearing distance of my voice, please sign on using the links that were provided when you signed up. We have two additional speakers. Hopefully, maybe we'll get a couple more in after that. But for the time being, Marie Coppola, the floor is yours.
Good evening, committee members. Thank you so much for your service and your attention to these important issues. My name is Marie Coppola. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Psychological Sciences and Linguistics at the University of Connecticut. And I'm here to speak to you tonight about the importance of financial aid and scholarships for higher education, especially for low-income students who mostly are disproportionately coming from communities of color. I myself was raised in a working class family by two parents who were deaf and have benefited tremendously from scholarships and financial aid, as well as student loans. I paid off my student loans finally a couple of years ago at the age of 50. So I really hope that other future students can not have to go through that. I teach developmental psychology to approximately 400 students every year at UConn. These students come from psychology, various programs within allied health sciences, from human development and family studies. And when I started teaching there about 10 years ago, approximately 2 to 3% of students would come to me at the beginning of the semester and say that they were not able to afford the textbook and the course materials. And we were able to handle that with an arrangement through the textbook publisher. However, this year, 17% of the students in my course came to me seeking financial assistance with the course materials. And it was a problem, right? It was the beginning of the semester and they need those materials to literally to do their assignments. So I'm trying to do my part and looking for alternatives that are less expensive, but this is a real problem. And I'm here to advocate for better financial support for those students, especially low-income students, especially those of color, that will help them earn their degrees, possibly take positions in higher education, where they will be able to make future students feel more comfortable and make them more likely to complete their degrees and serve their communities. Thank you so much. I know it's late. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Ms. Coppola. It's not late enough, apparently, for many of our folks. I think that we're running well ahead of schedule, and as a result, I think folks are missing their time slots. But thank you very much for your testimony. We appreciate it. I see number 84, Umesh Big, is here, and I will call on you next to provide your testimony. There you go.
Thank you, Senator Austin, Representative Walker, Senator Hartley, Representatives Dethen and Nolan, and members of the Appropriation Committee for the opportunity to address you today. My name is K. Umesh Vig. I'm a resident of Bolton, Connecticut, and I work at Manchester Community College as the Director of Student Affairs Operations. I'm here to express my strong support for ensuring our community college system is sufficiently funded so we can serve our students and communities. I support the Board of Regents' request for additional funding for our community college system. Increased funding is critically necessary to ensure that we can provide high quality services to our students and communities. We have seen our services in our community colleges decline due to understaffing and insufficient resources. In the recent Board of Regents Finance meeting, the BOR Finance Committee proposed 5% tuition increase for students. I disagree with the community college system increasing tuition for our students. I disagree with the tuition increases because so many of our students are already struggling to balance their school, work, and family demands. Increasing tuition continues to shift the burden of education to those in our communities with the least resources. The Board of Regents for Higher Education is currently threatening to lay off student-facing community college employees. This is quite reprehensible, particularly given the fact that over the past 3 years, the BOR and the CSCU managers have hired dozens of managers, regional presidents, vice presidents, associate vice presidents, costing millions of dollars. These management positions are completely redundant, wasteful, and siphoning resources away from the community college campuses. Our public higher education system needs more resources so we can fulfill our mission of providing pathways to higher education, gainful employment, and life-changing knowledge and skills to the residents of Connecticut. As one of my favorite philosophers, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, said, we are born weak, we need strength, helpless, we need aid, foolish, we need reason. All that we lack at birth, all that we need when we come to man's estate is the gift of education. I thank you sincerely for all of your sincere efforts to support this, as you will be giving a great gift of this wonderful education for our community college students.
Thank you very much for your testimony. We appreciate you delivering it to us.
Thank you.
Next person I have on the list is Joseph Feliciano, who I don't see in the waiting room, but I do see L. Van de Mark. And so I'll ask, now I guess it's your turn to give your testimony. Feel free, go ahead.
Thank you, Representative Haddad. In fact, Felicia is one of my students at Nantucket Community College. And unfortunately, as you suspected, she was expecting to speak quite a bit later. Okay. But thank you, Representative Haddad and Senator Austin, Representative Walker, and the members of the Appropriations Committee for the opportunity to address you today. Last year, when we were addressing you, it was quite a bit later. My name is Elle Vandermark, and I teach at Nantucket Community College, and I support the Board of Regents' request for additional funding for the community college system, but I do hope that it will be in grants to the colleges. Although the governor made lofty promises in his State of the State, it is this committee that is saddled with the responsibility with establishing that necessary funding. I am here tonight asking you to see the value of investing in higher education, specifically public higher education in Connecticut. The CSUs and the community colleges translate to investments in the future of Connecticut. And community college students are the most vulnerable of all our students in the state. You've heard from my colleagues across the state, and there is little more that I can say to persuade you. So I will simply ask you to hear our pleas, consider our students, and make the decision that I hope will be a good decision for the community college and CSU students in the state of Connecticut. Public higher education needs more resources, and I hope you will be able to make that difficult choice. Thank you for your time and attention tonight.
Thank you very much for your testimony. You are the last person on the printed list. I will pass this back to you, Senator Austin. It took an hour and 15-minute shift and almost finished up an hour and 15 minutes, but We've run out of speakers, Mr. Senator.
Thank you very much, Representative Haddad. I for one am happy that we're finishing a little early tonight because we have so many hearings going on this week. It's my dog's going outside. I just wanted to go over with our administrator our day's work tomorrow. But first, I want to thank you for taking a stint tonight. And don't worry, Representative Harris, we will bring you on again. And I know that Representative Sims had again offered. So we will have these late hearings coming up. So Madam Administrator, what do we have going on tomorrow?
So tomorrow, Madam Chair, at 10 o'clock, we have the state agency budget presentations for the human services agencies. At 1 o'clock, we have the OFA briefing of the health subcommittee. And then at 2 p.m., we begin our public hearing on the human services agencies, the governor's proposals for those agencies.
How many people have signed up for that one already?
Oh, Madam Chair, hopefully Representative Walker has turned her sound off because I promised I wouldn't break her heart tonight. Right, we're at 194 people.
194, and that's why we're starting at 2 in the afternoon?
Yes, ma'am.
All righty. Just letting our colleagues know that if you want to sign up for a shift tomorrow, we'll break it up into hour increments. Representative Walker and I will take the first 2 hours, and then we will set up our shifts thereafter. So please just send a note to the administrator. And so that'll help us out a lot. And it seems to actually go much faster. And I think it's actually working out very well, engaging more members of the committee. And what do we have the day after that, Madam Administrator?
We finish our budget hearings with the health subcommittee. All the health agencies will be on Thursday. Again, 10 o'clock is the start time for the agency presentations, and 2 o'clock is the start time for the public hearing.
And nobody signed up for that yet?
Oh, no, last I looked, we were somewhere in the neighborhood of 137 people.
Okay, so we have 2 late nights coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Again, thanks everybody. Thank you, Madam Administrator, for you and your staff. This was well run. Thanks again, Representative Haddad. And for those of you who think you got away without taking an hour shift, the next 2 nights we need people. And
Madam Chair, I hate to interrupt, but we do have a speaker in who just arrived in the waiting room.
Okay, who is it?
Althea Lovelace Burnett.
Okay. Bring her over.
Okay.
And then after that, we'll just sign off.
Okay. Well, I'm looking for Althea's name, actually.
Number 55.
Number 55, thank you. Oh yeah, it zipped right by her. Thank you. Let's rename her and let her in.
Ms. Burnett.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, please go ahead.
Good evening, Senator Oxton, Representative Walker, and members of the committee. My name is Althea Lovelace Burnett. I'm a nursing assistant at UConn Health, and I assist nurses as they provide care to patients. I provide daily care, bathing, feeding, cleaning feet, and care for patients that cannot do anything for themselves. Sometimes we also help the nurses. And if patients ask me to pray with them, I do. Sometimes they need someone to just talk to by encouraging them if they feel hopeless. Anyway, it is hard to work on call. It can be nerve-wracking for me I don't get to sleep because I'm wondering if they are going to call. And ever since the on-call, I developed high blood pressure because of the lack of sleep. Another thing they will do is call you in and move the other person that is scheduled to work that day to another floor. We already work 3 shifts, and then we are on call for a 4th shift. I'm tired because of short staffing, and then another 4th shift makes you feel burned out, fatigued, and overwhelming, pressured, which can be unsafe. The other problem is that we work short staff. You can need to hire more staff to work. In order to do that, the work that we do needs to be appreciated and respected, paid what it is worth, and communicated better with. Short staffing hurts us because working short staff is physically, mentally, and emotionally draining on us, nursing assistants on duty. It increases the risk of us getting sick or experiencing extreme fatigue after a long work week. This causes an even lower quality of patient care as there are simply not enough CNA on staff. I have seen harm because of shortage of staff. When patients fall out of bed, patients try to leave without being fully discharged. Family members bringing drugs to patient attack co-workers where they get hurt. In fact, I was hurt on the job with my shoulder because we were short. Normally, when the floor are fully staffed, we have enough help to reposition and turn patients. Unfortunately, that day we were short nurses and 2 aides on the floor with 29 patients. That means each CNA had 14 and 15 patients to care with no extra help. The nurse and I were boosting and turning the patient. They were heavy, and we didn't have a lift in that room. So the nurse was cleaning her while I was holding her by myself. And you know, when I said by myself, I was literally turning her by myself, this heavy patient. And she threw back herself, pulling me along her because she was in pain. I ended up getting a tear in my trapezium and I was out of work for 6 months, which also contributed to the short staffing levels. If we had enough staffing, it wouldn't have happened. Please fund UConn Health Center so we can hire more staff. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. And I hope you get some rest. So ladies and gentlemen, that's it for the night. We will see you all tomorrow. And I'm hoping that you all have a nice, quiet night and get some rest because we're going to be busy.